Hello everybody. It's a bit of a weird late night stream, I know. I'm a little desperate right now to help my kitties at the moment. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna sit here and start The Way of the Shadows. Now this is a series about assassins in a fictional fantasy world. Um so book one, I will specify, and I want to put this up front. Book one, towards the beginning, within the first, I would say, 5 chapters. I don't remember where exactly. There is a trigger warning of SA. Okay, I'm sorry. It's the only book I had that I thought would be Thank you. I appreciate it. Any little bit helps. It really, really, truly does. It really. I don't even know you, but thank you so much, Rengura-same. I hope I said that correct. But yeah, before we get any farther into this Ringura-same, I don't want to gloss over this. This is a really good book, but there is a trigger warning of SA in the beginning, sometime within the first 5 chapters. So I don't want anybody who is harmed or triggered by that to watch this stream right now. Oh, thanks, Pops. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out first and foremost because I wanted to put that up front. But other than that, that's the one and only time in this series. There's 3 books, I think, to this series, and it's a wonderful. It's called the Night Angel Trilogy. The Way of the Shadows is book 1. It's by Brent Weeks. Here, let's read the back. So, for Durzo Blint, assassination is an art, and he is the city's most accomplished artist. For Azoth, survival is precarious, something you never take for granted. As a guild rat, he's grown up in the slums and learned to judge people quickly and to take risks. Risks like apprenticing himself to Durzo Blint. But to be accepted, Azoth must turn his back on his old life and embrace a new identity and name. As Kyler Stern, he must learn to navigate the assassin's world of dangerous politics and strange magics and cultivate a flair for death. That's what we're getting into tonight. Gosh, thank you for the bits. I'm going to try not to get emotional about that. I'm going to try not to get emotional about anything tonight because it's a struggle. But let's sip our tea and delve into our book. Tonight we have the same old chamomile sleepy time tea with Cinnabon creamer. A white snake slid onto the table with a thump. Kyler barely had time to register what it was before it struck at his face. He saw its mouth open, huge, fangs glittering. He was moving back, but too slowly. Then the snake disappeared, and Kyler was falling backward off the stool. He landed flat on his back, but bounced up to his feet in an instant. Blint was holding the snake behind the head, had grabbed it out of the air while it was striking. You know what this is, Kyler? It's a white asp. One of the most deadly snakes in the world. They rarely grew longer than a man's forearm, but those they bit died within seconds. No, the price of failure. Chapters don't have names in this, I'm sorry. Chapter 1. Azoth squatted in the alley, cold mud squishing through his bare toes. He stared at the narrow space between the wall, trying to get his nerve up. Sun wouldn't come up for hours, and the tavern was empty. Most taverns in the city had dirt floors, but this part of the Warrens had been built over marshland, and not even drunks wanted to drink standing ankle-deep in mud. So the tavern had been raised a few inches on stilts and floored with stout bamboo poles. Coins sometimes dropped through the gaps in the bamboo, and the crawl space was too small for most people to go in after them. The guild's bigs were too big, and the littles were too scared to squeeze into the suffocating darkness shared with spiders and cockroaches and rats, and the wicked half-wild tomcat the owner kept. Worst was the pressure of the bamboo against your back, flattening you every time a patron walked overhead. It had been Azoth's favorite spot for a year, but he wasn't as small as he used to be. Last time, he got stuck and spent hours panicking until it rained and the ground softened beneath him enough that he could dig himself out. It was muddy now, and there were no patrons, and Azoth had seen the tomcat leave. Should be fine. Besides, Rat was collecting guild dues tomorrow, and Azoth didn't have 4 coppers. He didn't even have 1, so there wasn't much choice. Rat wasn't understanding, and he didn't know his own strength. Littles had died from his beatings. Pushing aside mounds of mud, Azoth lay on his stomach. The dank earth soaked his thin, filthy tunic instantly. He'd have to work fast. He was skinny, and if he caught a chill, the odds of getting better weren't good. Scooting through the darkness, he began searching for a telltale metallic gleam. A couple of lamps were still burning in the tavern, so light filtered through the gaps, illuminating the mud and standing water in strange rectangles. Heavy marsh mist climbed the shafts of light only to fall over and over again. Spiderwebs draped across Azoth's face and broke. He felt a tingle on the back of his neck. He froze. No, this is imagination. He exhaled slowly. Something glimmered, and he grabbed his first copper. He slithered to the unfinished pine beam. He had gotten stuck under last time and shoveled mud away until water filled the depression. The gap was still so narrow that he had to turn his head sideways to squeeze underneath it. Holding his breath and pushing his face into the slimy water, he began to slow crawl. His head and shoulders made it through. Then a stub of a branch caught the back of his tunic, tearing the cloth and jabbing his neck. He almost cried out, was instantly glad he didn't. Through a wide space between bamboo poles, Azoth saw a man seated at the bar, still drinking. In the Warrens, you had to judge people quickly. Even if you had quick hands like Azoth did. You stole every day. You were bound to get caught eventually. All merchants hit the guild rats who stole from them. If they wanted to have any goods left to sell, they had to. The trick was picking the ones who'd smack you so you didn't try to... Excuse me, sorry, I messed that sentence up. The trick was picking the ones who'd smack you so you didn't try their booth next time. There were others who'd beat you so badly you never had it next time. Azoth thought he saw something kind and sad and lonely in this lanky figure. He was perhaps 30, with a scraggly blonde beard and a huge sword on his hip. "How could you abandon me?" the man whispered, so quietly Azoth could barely distinguish the words. He held a flagon in his left hand and cradled something Azoth couldn't see in his right. "After all the years I've served you, how could you abandon me now? Is it because of Vonda?" There was an itch on Azoth's calf. He ignored it. Just his imagination again. He reached behind his back to free his tunic. He needed to find his coins and get out of here. Something heavy dropped onto the floor above Azoth and slammed his face into the water, driving the breath from his lungs. He gasped and nearly inhaled water. "Why, Durzo Blint, you never fail to surprise," the weight above Azoth said. Nothing was visible of the man, though. The gaps except the drawn dagger. He must have dropped from the rafters. "Hey, I'm all for calling a bluff, but you shouldn't have seen Vonda when she figured out you weren't going to save her. It made me damn near bawl my eyes out." The lanky man turned. His voice was slow and broken. "I killed 6 men tonight. Are you sure you want to make it 7? Azoth slowly caught up with what they'd been saying. The lanky man was the wet boy Durzo Blint. A wet boy was like an assassin, in the way a tiger is like a kitten. Among wet boys, Durzo Blint was indisputably the best. Or, as the head of Azoth Guild said, at least the disputes didn't last long. I thought Durzo Blint looked kind. The itch on Azoth's calf itched again. It wasn't his imagination. There was something crawling up the inside of his trousers, and it felt big. Not as big as a cockroach. Azoth's fear identified the weight. A white wolf spider. Its poison liquefied flesh in a slowly spreading circle. If it bit even with the healer, the best an adult could hope for was to lose a limb. Guild Rat wouldn't be so lucky. "Blint, you'll be lucky if you don't cut your head off after all you've been drinking. Just in the time I've been watching, you've had 8 flagons. And I've had 4 before that." Azoth didn't move. He jerked his legs together to kill the spider. The water would splash and the men would know he was there. Even if Durzo Blint had looked kind, it was an awful big sword. Azoth knew better than to trust grown-ups. "You're bluffing," the man said. There was fear in his voice. "I don't bluff," Durzo Blint said. "Why don't you invite your friends in?" The spider crawled up to Azoth's inner thigh. Trembling, he pulled his tunic up in the back and stretched the waist of his trousers, making a gap and praying the spider would crawl for it. Above him, the assassin reached 2 fingers up to his lips and whistled. Azoth didn't see Durzo move, but the whistle ended in a gurgle, and a moment later, the assassin's body tumbled to the floor. There were yells as the front and the back doors burst open. The boards flexed and jumped. Concentrating on not jostling the spider, Azoth didn't move, and even when another dropping body pushed his face briefly underwater, the spider crawled across Azoth's butt, and then onto his thumb. Slowly, Azoth drew his hand around so he could see it. His fears were right. It was a white wolf spider, its legs as long as Azoth's thumb. He flung it away convulsively and rubbed his fingers, making sure he hadn't been bitten. He reached for the splintered branch holding his tunic and broke it off. The sound was magnified in the sudden silence above. Azoth couldn't see anyone through the gaps. A few feet away, something was dripping from the boards into the puddle. It was too dark to see what it was, but it didn't take much imagination to guess. The silence was eerie. Any of the men walked across the floor. Groaning boards and flexing bamboo would have announced it. The entire fight had lasted maybe 20 seconds, and Azoth was sure no one had left the tavern. They all killed each other? He was chilled, and not just from the water. Death was no stranger in the Warrens, but Azoth had never seen so many people die so fast and so easily. Even taken extra care to look out for the spider. In a few minutes, Azoth had gathered 6 coppers. If he were braver, he would have looted the bodies in the tavern, but Azoth couldn't believe Durzo Blint was dead. Maybe he was a demon, like the other guild rats said. Maybe he was standing outside waiting to kill Azoth for spying on him. Chest tight with fear, Azoth turned and scooted towards his hole. 6 coppers was good. Dues were only 4, so he could buy bread tomorrow to share with Jarl and Dollgirl. He was a foot from opening when something bright flashed in front of his nose. It was so close, it took a moment to come into focus. It was Durzo Blint's huge sword, and it stuck through the floor all the way into the mud, bearing Azoth's escape. Just above Azoth on the other side of the door, Durzo Blint whispered, "Never speak of this, understand? I've done worse than kill children." The sword disappeared, and Azoth scrambled into the night. He didn't stop running for miles. End of chapter 1. Take a sip of our tea and move on to chapter 2. Unfortunately, I do have to head off as I work early, but I wish you luck, and I'll see you. I appreciate it if you're still here listening. You have a good rest of your night, and I'll catch you tomorrow sometime. A little sip of water, too. Reading really makes you dry. Chapter 2. 4 coppers? 4? This isn't 4. Rat's face was so rage red his pimples only showed as a scattering of white dots. He grabbed Jarl's threadbare tunic and lifted him off the ground. Azoth ducked his head. He couldn't watch. "This is 4, Rat shouted, spit flying as his hand slapped across Jarl's face. Azoth realized it was a performance. Not the beating. Rat was definitely hitting Jarl, but he was hitting him with an open hand. It was louder that way. Rat wasn't even paying attention to Jarl. He was watching the rest of the guild, enjoying their fear. "Who's next?" Rat asked, dropping Jarl. Azoth stepped forward quickly so Rat wouldn't kick his friend. At 16, Rat was already as big as a man, and he had fat. Made him unique among the slave-born. Azoth held out his 4 coppers. 8, puke, Rat said, taking the 4 from Azoth's hand. 8? You gotta pay for Dollgirl, too. Azoth looked around for help. Some of the bigs shifted and looked at each other. But no one said a word. "Too young," Azoth said. "Littles don't pay dues till they're 8. Attention shifted to Dollgirl, who was sitting in the dirty alley. She noticed the looks and withered. Shrinking into herself, Dollgirl was tiny with huge eyes, but beneath the grime her features were as fine and perfect as her namesake's. "Say she's 8 unless she's different," Rat leered. "Say it, Dollgirl. Say it or I'll beat up your boyfriend." Dollgirl's big eyes got bigger and Rat laughed. Azoth didn't protest, didn't point out that Dollgirl was mute. Rat knew, everyone knew, but Rat was the fist. He only answered to Jalalil, and Jalalil wasn't here. Rat pulled Azoth close and lowered his voice. "Why don't you join—" Trigger warning for this one. This is a little bad. I don't even describe what the part is, really. So, trigger warning. Rat pulled Azoth close and lowered his voice. "Why don't you join my pretty boys, Azo? You'll never pay dues again." Azoth tried to speak, but his throat was so tight that he only squeaked. Rat laughed again and everyone joined. some enjoying Azoth's humiliation, and some just hoping to put Rat in a good mood before their turn came. Black hatred stabbed through him. Azoth hated Rat, hated the guild, hated himself. He cleared his throat to try again. Rat caught his eye and smirked. Rat was big, but he wasn't stupid. He knew how far he was pushing Azoth, and he knew Azoth would crumple, afraid just like everyone else. Azoth spat a wad of phlegm onto Rat's face. Go bugger yourself, ratty fatty. There was an eternity of stunned silence. Golden moment of victory. Azoth thought he could hear the jaws dropping. Sanity was just starting to reassert itself when Rat's fist caught up. Excuse me about that. Let me rephrase all that. I kind of messed that up. Hey, Chronic, thanks for stopping by. We're trying to raise a little money for my kitties and get them to the vet tomorrow. So figured, why not do something different and read late night reading stream? But let's reread this sentence real quick because I kind of messed it up. Sanity was just starting to reassert itself when Rat's fist caught him in the ear. Black spots blotted out the world as he hit the ground. He blinked up at Rat, whose black hair glowed like a halo as it blocked the noon sun, and he knew he was going to die. Rat, I need you! Azoth rolled over and saw Jalaliel emerging from the guild's building. Pale skin was beaded with sweat through the day, though the day wasn't hot. He coughed unhealthily. Rat! I said now! Rat wiped his face, and seeing his rage cool so suddenly was almost more frightening than seeing its sudden heat. His face cleared and he smiled at Azoth, just smiled. Heyo, Jeo, Azoth said. Heyo, Azo, Jarl said, coming to join Azoth and Dollgirl. You know you're about as smart as a box of hair. They'll be calling him Ratty Fatty behind his back for years. He wanted me to be one of his girls, Azoth said. They were propped against a wall several blocks away, sharing the stale loaf Azoth had bought. The smells of baking, though less intense this late in the day, covered at least some of the smells of sewage, rotting garbage piled up on the banks of the river, and the rancid bite of the urine and brains of the tanneries. If Syren architecture was all bamboo and rice fiber walls and screens, Cenarian architecture was rougher, heavier, lacking the studied simplicity of Syren design. If Alitarian architecture was all granite and pine, Cenarian architecture was less formidable, lacking the deliberate durability of Alitarian structures. If Oseni architecture was airy spires and soaring arches, Cenarian architecture only soared above one story in the few nobles' manses on the east side. Cenarian buildings were everything squat and dank and cheap and low, especially in the warrens. Material that cost twice as much was never used, even if it lasted 4 times as long. Cenarians didn't think long-term because they didn't live long-term. Their buildings frequently incorporated bamboo and rice fiber, both of which grew nearby, and pine and granite, which were not too far away. But there were no Cenarian style. The country had been conquered too many times over the centuries to pride itself on anything but survival. In the warrens, there wasn't even pride. Azoth absently ripped a loaf into thirds, then scowled. He'd made 2 about the same size and 1/3 smaller. He put one of the bigger pieces on his leg and handed the other big piece to Dollgirl, who followed him like a shadow. He was about to hand the small piece to Jarl when he saw Dollgirl's face pucker in disapproval. Azoth sighed and took the small piece for himself. Jarl didn't even notice. Better one of his girls than dead, Jarl said. Won't end up like Bim. Azo, once Jalilil buys review, Rat'll be your guild head. You're 11, 5 years till you get a review. You'll never make it. Rat'll make Bim look lucky compared to you. So what do I do, Jarl? Ordinarily, this was Azoth's favorite time. He was with 2 people he didn't have to be afraid of, and he was silencing the insistent voice of hunger. Now the bread tasted like dust. He stared into the market, not even seeing the fishmonger beating her husband. I didn't mean to scoff at that, but I was not ready to read that. Anytime I read fishmonger, I don't know, it just always comes off so angry. Like they're just like angrily pulling fish out of the ocean or something. I don't know, fishmonger sounds like an angry term for a fisherman. Jarl smiled, his teeth brilliant against his black Ladician skin. If I tell you a secret, can you keep it quiet? Azoth looked from side to side and leaned in. The loud crunching of bread and smacking of lips beside him stopped. Well, I can. I'm not so sure about Dollgirl. They both turned to where she sat gnawing on the heel of the loaf. The combination of the crumbs stuck to her face and her scowl of outrage made them both howl with laughter. Azoth rubbed her blonde head, and when she kept scowling, pulled her close. She fought against him, but when he let his arm drop, she didn't scoot away. She looked at Jarl expectantly. Jarl lifted his tunic and removed a rag he'd had tied around his body as a sash. I won't be like the others, Azo. I'm not just going to let life happen to me. I'm going to get out. He opened a sash. Tucked within its folds were 12 coppers, 4 silvers, and impossibly 2 gold gunders. 4 years. 4 years I've been saving. Dropped 2 more coppers into the sash. You mean all the times rats slapped you around for not making your dues, you've had this? Jarl smiled, and slowly Azoth understood. Beatings were a small price to pay for hope. After a while, most guild rats withered and let life beat them. They became animals. Or they went crazy like Azoth had today, and get themselves killed. Looking at the treasure, part of Azoth wanted to strike Jarl, grab the sash and run. That money, he could get out, get clothes to replace his rags, and pay apprentice fees somewhere, anywhere, maybe even with Durzo Blint, as he told Jarl and Doggerel so many times. When he saw Doggerel, he knew how she'd look at him if he stole that sash full of life. Any of us make it out of the Warrens, it'll be you, Jarl. You deserve it. You have a plan? Always, Jarl said. He looked up, his brown eyes bright. I want you to take it, Azo. As soon as we find out where Durzo Blint lives, we're going to get you out, all right? Azoth looked at the pile of coins. 4 years. Dozens of beatings. Not only did he not know if he would give that much for Jarl, but he thought of stealing it from him. He couldn't hold back hot tears. He was so ashamed. He was so afraid. Afraid of Rat, afraid of Durzo Blint, always afraid. But if he got out, he could help Jarl, and Blint would teach him to kill. Azoth looked up at Jarl, not daring to look at Doggerel for fear of what might be in her big brown eyes. I'll take it. He knew he'd killed first. Chapter 3 on RT. Hope everybody's having a lovely night. Hope it's relaxing. Hope maybe you're just chilling in bed or something. Just chilling, playing some Minecraft before bed. Oh, you building anything interesting, or are we adventuring? Late night adventures. Speaking of it, one of my friends, she sent me some pictures. She built little strawberry houses, village she made, and I was like, that's so adorable. Like, get over here at my server. Yeah, I got a little Minecraft. Every time I build a Minecraft server, I always build like one giant house because I like building in creative mode. I only play with creative really, but I always do creative, and like all my friends that do want to stay in regular mode, I build like this big old community house thing that has like a bunch of chests throughout it, and I'll use creative mode to like fill them with like armor, weapons, and pickaxes. So it's like, yeah, go ahead, go in there and grab it. I'll refill them every so often, so and I usually make my home in the basement of something like that. And I always end up putting another portal somewhere in my basement because I'll be in the basement, and then my room, I'll make another basement, and then I'll put another portal kind of thing right there. I don't know. I love to build little villages. I built a really cool spawn point in my server, a giant tree, a hollowed out tree. And you spawn on the inside, and it starts up like this and kind of does like a circular thing down on some bricks, and it was like stone cobblestone bricks. Yeet. Jesus Christ, that's not a name I thought I'd ever see again. Holy shit. Hi. Welcome, dude. Thank you a bunch for that. I have 2 cats that are definitely needing to go to the vet. Trying to get a ride because I got approved for care credit for one. Trying to raise funds for the other one now. It's just, this year has been awful start to the year. We'll get back to reading here in a minute, though, but yeah. I want to finish up my Minecraft thing. I was actually going to bring you up. It's so funny. You popped up, Yeet, because I was talking about Minecraft and my new server that I did. I built a tree, but I was also going to bring up the fact that years ago you built the Eye of Sauron at the same time that I was building Mount Mordor in that server. What are the fucking odds that you pop up when that happens? Weird. Very weird. Not in a bad way, but just life is strange right now. Very strange. But yeah, I built this really cool, like, hollowed out tree on the inside. It's all kinds of ruins, and it had, like, ruins. My bad, not runes. Like, it goes up, and it all comes out branch, but I have, like, one hollowed out branch that goes up into, like, a point, kind of. I made, like, a little oasis waterfall kind of thing in there. It's like a whole world inside of a tree. I don't know why I'm doing it, but I was just like, Zelda, Kokiri. Are we surprised? I got a bunch of Zelda stuff. Alright, let me get some water and we'll continue the book. Alright, chapter 3. Wow. Urzoblint pulled himself on top of the small estate's wall and watched the guard pass. Perfect guard, Urzo thought. A bit slow, lacking imagination, and dutiful. He took his 39 steps, stopped at the corner, planted his halberd, scratched his stomach under his gambeson, checked in all directions, then walked on. 35, 6. Urzo slipped out of the man's shadow and eased himself over the edge of the walkway. He held on by his fingertips. Now, he dropped and hit the grass just as the guard thumped the butt of his halberd on the wood walkway. He doubted the guard would have hurt him anyway, but paranormal begat perfection in the wet boy's trade. The yard was small and the house was not much bigger. It was built on the Siren design, with translucent rice paper walls. Bald cypress and white cedar formed the doors, and arches and cheaper local pine had been used for the frame and the floors. It was Spartan-like all Siren houses, and that fit General Agen's military background and his ascetic personality. More than that, it fit his budget. Despite the general's many successes, King Davin had not been rewarded him well, which was part of why the wet boy had come. Urzo found an unlocked window on the second floor. The general's wife was asleep in the bed. They weren't so Siren as to sleep on woven mats. They were, however, poor enough that the mattress was stuffed with straw rather than feathers. The general's wife was a plain woman, snoring gently and sprawled into the middle than to one of the... The general's wife was a plain woman, snoring gently and sprawled more in the middle than to one side of the bed. The covers on the side she was facing had been disturbed. The wet boy slid into the room, using his talent to soften the sound of his footsteps on the hardwood floor. Curious, quick glance confirmed that the general hadn't just come for a nocturnal conjugal visit. They actually shared the room. Perhaps he was even poorer than people thought. Urzo's brow furrowed under his mask. It was a detail he didn't need to know. He drew the short poisoner's knife and walked toward the bed. She'd never feel a thing. He stopped. The woman was turned toward the disturbed covers. She'd been sleeping close to her husband before he got up. Not on the far side of the bed, the way a woman merely doing her marital duties would. It was a love match. After her murder, Eileen Gunder had planned to offer the general a quick remarriage to rich noblewoman. But this general, who'd married a low-born woman for love, would react quite differently to his wife's murder than to a man who'd married for ambition. The idiot. The prince was so consumed with ambition that he thought everyone else was too. The wet boy sheathed the knife and stepped into the hall. He still had to know where the general stood, immediately. Damn it, man, King Davin's dying. I'd be surprised if he's got a week left. Whoever had spoken was mostly right. The wet boy had given the king his final dose of poison tonight. By dawn he would be dead, leaving a throne in contention between one man who was strong and just, and another who was weak and corrupt. The underworld of Sakage was not disinterested in the outcome. The voice had come from the receiving room downstairs. The wet boy hurried to the end of the hall. The house was so small that the receiving room doubled as a study. He had the perfect view of the two men. General Brant Aegon, with a graying beard. Close-trimmed hair, that he didn't comb, and a jerky way of moving, keeping his eyes on everything. He was thin and sinewy, legs slightly bowed from his life in the saddle. The man across from him was Duke Regnus Gear. The wing-backed chair creaked as he shifted his weight. He was a huge man, both tall and wide. A little of his bulk was fat. He folded ringed fingers on his belly. I'm sorry. Oh my god. Oh, and it stuck in my hair. My bad. He had a perfect view of the two men. General Brant Aegon had a graying beard, close-trimmed hair that he didn't comb, and a jerky way of moving, keeping his eyes on everything. He was thin and sinewy, his legs slightly bowed from a life in the saddle. The man across from him was Duke Regnus Gear. The wing-back chair creaked as he shifted his weight. He was a huge man, both tall and wide, and a little of his bulk was fat. He folded ringed fingers on his belly. By the night angels, I could kill them both and end the Nine's worries right now. Are we deceiving ourselves, Brant? Duke Gear asked. General didn't answer immediately. My lord. No, Brant. I need your opinion as a friend, not as a vassal. Jarzo crept closer. He drew the throwing knives slowly, careful with the poisoned edges. If we do nothing, the general said, Eileen Gunder will be king. He's a weak, foul, and faithless man. The Sakage already owns the Warrens. The king's patrols won't even leave the main roads. And you know all the reasons that's only bound to get worse. The death games entrenched the Sakage. Eileen doesn't have the will or the inclination to oppose the Sakage now. While we can still root them out. So are we deceiving ourselves in thinking that you'd be a better king? Not at all. And the throne is yours by rights. Blint almost smiled. The Underworld's lords, the Sakage Nine, agreed with every word, which is why Blint was making sure Regnus Gear didn't become king. And tactically, did we do it? With minimal bloodshed. Duke Waseros is out of the country. My own regiment is in the city. The men believe in you, my lord. We need a strong king, a good king. We need you, Regnus. Duke Gear looked at his hands. And Eileen's family? They'll be part of the minimal bloodshed? General's voice was quiet. You want the truth? Yes. Even if we don't order it, one of our men will kill them to protect you. Even if it meant hanging. They believe in you that much. Duke Gear breathed. So as the question is, does the good of many in the future outweigh the murder of a few now? How long has it been since I had such qualms? Jarzo barely stifled an overpowering urge to throw the daggers. The suddenness of his rage shook him. What's that about? It was Regnus. The man climbed him. Excuse me, why did I say? The man reminded him of another king he'd once served. King worthy of it. It's for you to answer, my lord, General Aegon said. But, if I may, is a question really so philosophical? What do you mean? You still love Nalia, don't you? Nalia was Eileen Gunder's wife. Regnus looked stricken. I was betrothed to her for 10 years, Brant. We were each other's first lovers. My lord, I'm sorry, the general said. It's not my— No, Brant. Never speak of it. As I decided whether to be a man or a king, let me. He breathed deeply. It's been 15 years since Nalia's father broke our betrothed and married her to that dog Eileen. I should be over it. I am. Except when I have to see her with her children and have to imagine her sharing a bed with Eileen Gunder. The only joy my marriage has given me is my son Logan, and I can scarce believe her own has been better. My lord, given the involuntary nature of both of your weddings, could you not divorce Katrina and marry— No, Regnus shook his head. If the queen's children live, they will always be a threat to my son, whether I exile them or adopt them. Nalia's eldest boy is 14, too old to forget that he was destined for a throne. The right is on your side, my lord. And who knows but that answers unforeseen may arise to these problems once you sit on the throne. Regnus nodded unhappily, obviously knowing he held hundreds or thousands of lives in his hand, not knowing he held his own as well. If he plots rebellion, I'll kill him. I swear by the Night Angels. Serve only the Sakage now, and myself, always myself. My generations unborn forgive me, Regnus Gear said, tears gleaming in his eyes. But I will not commit murder for what may be, Brent. I cannot. I will swear fealty. The wet boy slid the daggers back into their sheaths, ignoring the twin feelings of relief and despair he felt. That damned woman. She's ruined me. She's ruined everything. Blint saw the ambush from 50 paces away and walked right into its teeth. The sun's still an hour from rising, and the people on the twisting streets of the Warrens were merchants who'd fallen asleep where they shouldn't have, and were hurrying home to their wives. The guild, Black Dragon from the guild glyphs he'd passed, was hiding around a narrow choke point in the alley where guild rats could spring up to clog both ends of the street and also attack from the low rooftops. He had affected a bad right knee and pulled his cloak tight around his shoulders, the hood pulled low over his face. As he limped into the trap, one of the older children, as big as they called them, jumped into the alley ahead of him and whistled. Brandishing a rusty saber, guild rats surrounded the wet boy. Clever, Durzo said. You keep a lookout before dawn when most of the other guilds are sleeping. You're able to jump a few bags who've been out all night whoring. They don't want to explain any bruises from fighting to their wives, so they hand over the coins. Not bad. Whose idea was that? Azoth's, a big said, pointing past the wet boy. Shut up, Roth, the guild head said. The wet boy looked at the small boy at the rooftop. He was holding a rock aloft, his pale blue eyes intent. Ready. He looked familiar. Oh, now you've given him away, Durzo said. You shut up too, the guild head said, shaking the saber at him. Hand over your purse or we'll kill you. Jalileo, a black guild rat, said. I don't know why they needed to specify that. That was stupid. He called them bags. A merchant wouldn't know we call him that. He's Sakage. Shut up, Jarl. We need this. Jalileo coughed and spat blood. Just give us your... I don't have the time for this move, Durzo said. Hand it! The wet boy darted forward, his left hand twisting Jalileo's sword hand, snatching the saber. Saber is a sword, by the way. It's not no Star Wars lightsaber. His body spinning in. His right elbow cracked against the guild head's temple. He pulled the blow so it wouldn't kill. The fight was over by the time the guild rats flinched. Said, I don't have time for this, Durzo said. He threw back his hood. He knew he was nothing special to look at. He was lanky, sharp-featured, dark blonde hair, and a wispy blonde beard over lightly pockmarked cheeks. But he might have had 3 heads from the way the children shrank back. Durzo Blint, Roth murmured. Rocks rattled to the ground. Durzo Blint, the name passed through the guild rats in waves. He saw fear and awe in their eyes. They just tried to mug a legend. He smirked. Sharpen this. Only an amateur lets his blade rest. Threw the saber into the gutter cloth with sewage. He then walked back through the mob. They scattered as if he might kill them all. Azoth watched him stride into the early morning mist, disappearing like so many other hopes into the sinkhole of the Warrens. Durzo Blint was everything Azoth wasn't. He was powerful, dangerous, confident, fearless. He was like God. He'd looked at the whole guild arraying against him. Even the bigs like Roth and Jalileo and Rat. And he'd been amused. Amused! Someday, Azoth swore. He didn't quite dare think about the whole thought, lest Blint sense his presumptions, but his whole body yearned for it someday. When Blint was far enough away not to notice, Azoth followed. Alright, cool. Moving on to chapter 4. Thanks for the cheers. Appreciate you all. Dude, fuck, man. Thank you. Fuck it. Stop it. Life is really fucking weird right now. I appreciate it. Sorry, it's not much, but it means a lot. I try to do everything I can for these guys. It's hard sometimes. I don't honestly didn't think I was gonna get anything tonight, so even this little bit just may have put me over my threshold to at least withdraw. And I already had a little bit, so I'm hoping I got like at least 200 maybe total between everything. Thank you. Stop making me cry though, I'm trying to read. I'm sorry. Let me wipe that away real quick. I didn't see anything. Man. Thank you. Sorry for anything, you know, for everything. Appreciate it, I really do. Like I said, life has been really fucking weird lately, and love my fur baby, so I know how you feel. I just lost, it's not even been a year since my dad's been gone, and I had to take in his cat and his dog and everything, and Duke was my kitty to begin with when I was a kid. And then when I had moved out, I had to leave him because I couldn't take him with me. So I'm like, oh, he'll be fine with my dad. My dad knows how to care for animals, so I just left him with it. And Duke spent, the last bit of his life with my dad. And then when we finally moved into our house, we bought a house last year. That was a funny thing too. We bought a house, and then literally like 3 months after we bought a house, one of the biggest fires in California, two of the biggest fires in California last year, one of them almost got my house. So I was like, but he went to the hospital and I had to care for his kitties, so. And Duke got along with all of my kitties because, I mean, they've smelled each other countless times. I've taken Nerner over to his house. So it's like losing Duke, I'm not even really over that. It's not even been a year for my dad, so I'm like, fuck, man. Can life stop taking things from me? I would appreciate it if it would just attack me and not my animals. I could take it. My animals, I don't know about them. But what time is it? Oh, we got time. Cool. Oh, dude, you don't even know when it does. It does. Fuck. It's like, we started the first week of January was okay. Our friends invited us to Disneyland, and it was the first time we had been to Disneyland, so I was like, oh, cool, what an experience, I had a birria sandwich. Fucking happy. And then we get home, and then everything's coming crashing down. But enough of the sad stuff. Let's finish up our tea real quick and get on to chapter 4. Read more about Durzo Blint now, because we're going into Durzo Blint's story. The words of the crow. Can't rain all the time. Don't fucking quote the crow to me right now. I am fragile. You'll make me cry again, damn it. I got emotes made for my channel. Exclamation point hype. They're pretty cool. They're Nerner. I know you remember Nerner, my orange kitty. He is now literally the face of all my emotes. Heck yeah, Chronic. Welcome as a gifted sub. Woo! I don't know who's gonna get them, but I will hope, people get notified like, hey, so-and-so gave you a gifted sub, and then they start tuning in, because I'll probably be doing another stream tomorrow, honestly. Not sure what we'll be doing, but we're gonna be doing something. Maybe we could do like a cool makeup look or something, do like extravagant cosplay, I don't know. Cosplay as Anya and play mouthwashing again. Cool with that. I haven't cosplayed Anya since the game came out. It was a fun cosplay. Adorable. Alright. Hot in here. Alright. Thank you, I appreciate it. It's, like I said, any little bit counts. It helps. It's something. I'll get there. I'm gonna do my best. But thank you. I don't know how many times I can say it. Thank you so much. I hope you have a good rest of your night, dude. Oh, heck yeah. Thank you for the freaking Prime sub. I appreciate that. 2 Prime subs. Oh my god. Cool. Okay, hold on. I got it. I'm trying not to cry. I wasn't expecting anything tonight, honestly. I was hoping people were enjoying the reading too, so. Get back to the reading. Take a little chapter, so get through chapter 4. Move this out of the way real quick. Some light. Coming through pretty good. Chapter 4. No names. The Bashers guarded the 9 subterranean chamber. Whoa, excuse me, I read that so wrong. The Bashers guarding the 9's subterranean chamber eyed Durzo sourly. They were twins, and 2 of the biggest men in the Sakage. Each had a lightning bolt tattooed down his forehead. Weapons, one said. Lefty, Durzo said in a greeting, removing his sword, 3 daggers, the dart strapped to his wrist, and a number of small glass balls from his other arm. I'm Lefty, the other one said, patting down Blint vigorously. You mind? Durzo asked. We both know if I wanted to kill anyone in there, I could, with or without weapons. Lefty flushed. Why don't I ram this pretty sword? What Lefty means is, why don't you pretend not to be a threat, and we'll pretend we're the reasons, Bernard said. It's just a formality, Blint. Like asking someone how they are when you don't care. I don't ask. My tea came back up a little bit. I was sorry to hear about Vonda, Bernard said. Durzo stopped cold, a lance twisting through his guts. Really? The big man said. He held the door open, glanced at his brother. Part of Durzo knew he should say something cutting or threatening or funny, but his tongue was leaden. Master Blint, Bernard said, recovering. Durzo stepped into the 9's meeting room without raising his eyes. It was a place to inspire fear. Carved from a black fireglass, a platform dominated the room. 9 chairs sat on the platform. A 10th chair sat above them like a throne. There was only bare floor facing the chairs. Those the 9 interviewed would stand. The chamber was a tight rectangle, but it was deep. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into the darkness. It gave those questioned the feeling of being interrogated in hell. That the chairs, walls, and even the floor were carved with little gargoyles, dragons, and people, all screaming, did nothing to cool the effect. But Durzo walked in with an easy familiarity. The night held no terrors for him. The shadows welcomed his eyes, hid nothing from him. At least that much has left me. The 9 had their cowls on, except for Mama Kay. Though most knew there was no hiding their identities from Durzo. Above them, the Shinga, Pondraden, sat in his throne. He was as still and silent as usual. Is the wife dead? Corbin Fischl asked. He was a fashionable, handsome man with a reputation for cruelty, especially toward those children in the guilds he managed. The laughter his lisp might have provoked somehow dried up under the ever-present malice of his face. Things aren't as you expected, Durzo said. He gave his report briefly. The king would soon die, and the men whom Sakage had feared would try to succeed him would not press their claim. That left the throne to Eileen Gunder, who was too weak to dare interfere with the Sakage. I would suggest, Durzo said, that we make the prince promote General Aegon to Lord General. Aegon would keep the prince from consolidating his power, and if Kalidor makes any move, the tiny former slave master interrupted. Oh, fuck yeah. Thank you, Lorenzo. I appreciate it. Welcome to the members. I am going to be doing more reading videos for members only as well, but those reading videos are the members only. They're going to be pre-edited, and I'm going to add little sound effects and things like that, but we're getting it. I will try to do at least one live stream of just chatting a month as well, so we can chill and chat, maybe play some like online games, Neopets, etc. Back to reading. Appreciate you so much. The tiny former slave master interrupted. While we acknowledge your complaint against Calidor, Master Blint, we aren't to squander our political capital on some general. We don't have to, Mama Kay said. The mistress of pleasures was still beautiful, though it had been years since she was the city's most celebrated courtesan. We can get what we want by pretending someone else asked for it. Everyone stopped and listened. The prince was willing to buy off the general with a political marriage, so we tell him that Aegon's price is a political appointment instead. The general won't ever know, and the prince isn't likely to ask about it. That gives us leverage to reopen the slavery issue, the slave master said. I'll be damned if we turn slavers again, another said. He was a big man gone to fat, with heavy jowls, small eyes, and scarred fists, befitting the masters of the Sakage's bashers. The guy I'm about to read has a list, but I'm just not me. Conversation can wait. Blint doesn't need to be here for that, Corbin Fischel said. Turned his heavy-lidded eyes to Blint. You didn't kill tonight. He let the statement hang, unadorned. Durzo looked at him, refusing to take the provocation. Can you still do it? Words were useless with a man like Corbin Fischel. He spoke the language of meat. Durzo walked to him. Corbin didn't flinch, didn't turn aside as Durzo came toward the platform, though several of the 9 were clearly nervous. Under Fischel's velvet trousers, Blint could see his muscles bunch. Corbin kicked at Durzo's face, but Durzo had already moved. He slammed a needle deep into Corbin's calf and stepped back. A bell rang, and a moment later, Bernard and Lefty burst into the room. Blint crossed his arms and made no move to defend himself. Blint was tall, but his mass was lean in muscle and sinew. Lefty charged like a warhorse. Durzo merely extended both hands, unclenched, but when Lefty crashed into him, the impossible happened. Instead of crushing the smaller man, Lefty's sprint ended instantly. His face stopped first, his nose popping against Durzo's open hand. The rest of him continued forward. His body lifted parallel to the ground and then crashed to the stone floor. Stop! Corbin Fischel shouted. Bernard skidded to a halt in front of Durzo and then knelt by his brother. Lefty was moaning. Bleeding nose filled the mouth of a rat carved into the rock floor. Corbin pulled the needle out of his calf with a grimace. What is this, Blint? You want to know if I can still kill? Durzo put a small vial in front of the basher. If that needle was poisoned, this is the antidote. But if the needle wasn't poisoned, the antidote will kill you. Drink it, or don't. Drink it, Corbin, Pawn Drayden said. It was the first time the Shinga had spoken since Blint entered. You know, Blint, you'd be a better wet boy if you didn't know you were the best. You are, but you still take your orders from me. The next time you touch one of my 9, there will be consequences. Now get the hell out. The tunnel felt wrong. Azoth had been in the other tunnels before, and if he wasn't exactly comfortable with moving through the cloying dark by touch, he could still do it. This tunnel had started out like any other, rough cut, winding, and of course dark. But as it plunged deeper into the earth, the walls got straighter, the floor smoother. The tunnel was important. That was different, not wrong. What was wrong was one step in front of Azoth. He squatted on his heels, resting, thinking. He didn't sit. He only sat when you knew where there was nothing you'd have to run away from. He couldn't smell anything different through the air, though the air was heavy and thick as gruel down here. If he squinted, he thought he could see something, but he was pretty sure that it was just squeezing from his eyes. Or from just squeezing his eyes. I'm sorry. I'm a little tired. He extended his hand again. Was the air cooler just there? Then he was sure he felt the thin air shift. Wow, I am struggling. Hold on. I feel like I'm getting too close, and sometimes when I get too close to my books, that's when I realize I'm reading too hard. Get too into it. Let's restart that whole paragraph. Then he was sure he felt the air shift. Sudden fear arced through Azoth. Blint had just passed through here 20 minutes ago. He hadn't carried a torch. Azoth hadn't thought about it then. Now he remembered the stories. A little puff of sour air lapped at his cheek. Azoth almost ran, but he didn't know which way was safe to run. He had no way to defend himself. The fist kept all the weapons. Another puff touched his other cheek. Smells like garlic? These are secrets There are secrets in this world, kid, the voice said. Secrets like magical alarms and the identities of the nine. Take another step, you'll find one of those secrets. Then two nice bashers with orders to kill intruders will find you. Master Blint, Azoth searched the darkness. Next time you follow a man, don't be so furtive. It makes you conspicuous. Whatever that meant, didn't sound good. Master Blint. He heard laughter up the tunnel moving away. Azoth jumped to his feet, feeling his hope slip away with the fading laughter. He ran up the tunnel in the dark. Wait! There was no response. Azoth ran faster. A stone grabbed his foot and he fell roughly, skinning his knees and hands on the floor. Master Blint, wait! I need to apprentice with you. Master Blint, please! The voice spoke just over him, though. When he looked, Azoth could see nothing. I don't take apprentices. Go home, kid. But I'm different. I'll do anything. I've got money. There was no response. Blint was gone. The silence ached, throbbed in time with the cuts on Azoth's knees and palms. There was no help for it. He wanted to cry, but crying was for babies. Azoth walked back to the Black Dragon territory as sky lightened. Parts of the Warrens were shaking off their drunken slumber. Bakers were up and smiths' apprentices were starting the forge fires. But the guild rats, the whores, the bashers, the sneak thieves had gone to sleep. The cut purses, cons, sharps, and the rest of those who worked the daylight were still asleep. Usually, the smells of the Warrens were comfortable. There was a permeating smell of the cattle yards over the more immediate smells of human waste, glooping through the wide gutters in every street to further foul the Plith River. The rotting vegetation from the shallows and backwaters of the slow river, the less sour smell of the ocean, when a lucky breeze blew. The stench of the sleeping, never-washed beggars, who might attack a guild rat for no reason other than their rage at the world. For the first time, Azoth, rather than home, the smells denoted filth. Rejection and despair were the only vapors rising from every moldering ruin and shit pile in the Warrens. The abandoned mill here, once used for hulling rice, wasn't just an empty building the guild could sleep in. It was a sign. Mills on the west shore would be looted by those so desperate they'd break past whatever bashers the mill owners hired. It was all garbage and rejection, and Azoth was a part of it. When he got to the guild home, Azoth nodded to the lookout, slipped inside with no attempt at stealth. The guild was used to children getting up to piss in the night, so no one would think he'd been out. If he tried to sneak in, he'd just draw attention to himself. Maybe that was what furtive meant. Lying down his usual spot next to the window, he slipped between Doggerel and Jarl. It got cold here, but the floor was flat and there weren't many splinters. He nudged his friend. Jayo, you know what furtive means? But Jarl rolled away, grunting. Azoth poked him again, but Jarl wouldn't move. Long night, I guess. Like all guild rats, Azoth, Jarl, and Doggerel slept close to each other for warmth. Usually Doggerel got the middle because she was so small and got so cold easily, but tonight Jarl and Doggerel weren't lying close to each other. Doggerel scooted close to and wrapped her arms around him, squeezing tightly, and Azoth was glad for her warmth. Worry gnawed at the back of his mind like a rat. He was too tired. He slept. Chapter 5. I gotta something. Farming. Sorry. I was hoping that was. That's something. It was only visible to me, but it's in a moat. It says choo choo. Choo choo. Choo choo, all aboard the Depresso Espresso. I'm kidding. Elite Warrior, I thought it was a 2-month streak, not for 2 months. My bad. So like OBS and Twitch screen show me two different things sometimes. So like OBS kind of like consolidates things a little bit. I hope everybody's having a good night tonight, though. How's the book? The book gets really. We have more to get through, and I think I'm gonna continue. Actually, I'm doing this. Yeah, so we got 2 more to get through, and we're on chapter 5. Not very far. Feels like we've read a lot, but we've not. Ad break. The ad break in 2 minutes. I'm gonna just run an ad right now, so get out of the way. Good in 2 minutes, so I'll see you guys in like a minute and 32 minutes. Lower. Welcome. We are doing a very mellow chill stream tonight, and we are reading The Way of the Shed by Brent Weeks. Oops, sorry about that. I was gonna go share the stream a little bit. We're gonna take a but yeah, just over an hour now, so we're gonna take a couple minutes to chat and share a stream around. Why not? I do plan on doing members only stuff. I can see. Hope you guys are having a good. I think the book has been pretty dang fun so far. There it is. Okay. Share stream again real quick. Comic right. This one can't even see it. My background blur, but this is Spawn comic issue number 1, probably a PSA 10 mint condition. That's what Pride and Joy. Oh, I never showed up my iron lung popcorn bucket I printed. You can get free 3D print on Thingiverse from Regal. Don't like link looks weird. I don't know why. How do I share my channel when I could just type twitch.tv/whatever? That was kind of stupid. Alright, so there's a share to Twitter, Blue Sky, and so there's Twitter. We would appreciate everybody for doing what you can to help, even if it's just sharing, because sharing reaches people in your community that could, possibly help me or at least share in their community. And next thing you know, it's like a snowball effect. I'm trying my best. I hope people realize I'm really trying my best. Tired. not physically or mentally right now, but just in. I know so many other people are going through some stuff too, and God, I hope it gets better for everybody. 2026 has not been kind to anyone. Like, normally, we're just like, yeah, we're gonna start the year great. We're gonna go into this great. And the year starts off great usually, and it doesn't start to go downhill till about usually mid-year. This one's like, no, we're starting early, so maybe if we get it out of the way earlier, for real, right? If we get it out of the way earlier in the year, maybe we can actually enjoy our summer and fall and winter and not have a seasonal depression. I need to take a picture. Picture. 1 sec. We're on Instagram now. Bop. 100%. I don't know when I said beep boop bop right now, all I could think of, I don't know if you remember or even know of it. There was like a time on the internet, it was TikTok actually. Back when TikTok was good, I would say 2019 to like 2023. The crabs play that song or play that beat again. Beep boop boop bop. Beep boop boop bop. Good stuff. Good stuff. I want to go back to those days. It was when it was simple. I miss doing like that kind of content and cosplay, but everything's just been so stressful lately. Hi to the new person on YouTube. The concurrent viewers just went up from 1 to 2. Somebody told me you're here. I don't know who you are, but hi. Yeah. Tomorrow is a new day. It's fun to see how long we can hold on. No, I agree. It's like we're speed running a game and we're on like the hardest difficulty. It's like the one hit kill for us in life. We just keep hitting life, and it's like all of our anxiety are those little close calls we've had of almost getting our one hit, but we've not. Like it reminds me of like Elden Ring, for example. Like life reminds me of Elden Ring right now, and it's just like that moment where your health is like this, the boss's health is like this. You're both charging up a hit, right? And then you go to hit each other, but you're just like, yep, they got it. Just by a hair, they got it. All right, cool. We just shared everything again. That's not wrong. Oh yeah, that's some good sleepy time tea. Okay, back to read. We are on chapter 5. Wait, I lied. No, I didn't. We're on chapter 5. Let me scooch in here. I'm gonna drop my chair down a little bit. A little closer to the ground so I'm not stretching. Okay. All right. And here we go. Chapter 5. The nightmare started when Azoth woke. Good morning, Rat said. That was my favorite little gutter shite. The glee on Rat's face told Azoth that something was seriously wrong. Roth and Hairlip stood on either side of Rat, almost bursting with excitement. Dollgirl was gone. Jarl was gone. Jalaliel was nowhere to be seen. Blinking against the sunlight streaming through the guild home's torn roof, Azoth stood and tried to orient himself. The rest of the guild was gone, either working, scavenging, or just deciding that now would be a good time to be outside. So they'd seen Rat come in. Roth stood by the back door, and Hairlip stood behind Rat in case Azoth ran for the front door or the window. Where were you last night? Rat asked. Had to piss. Long piss, you missed the fun. When Rat spoke like that, totally flat, no effect in his voice, Azoth felt a fear too deep to shiver out. Pop up, sorry. What? Going on here? That is really bright, and nothing has happened. Excellent. Audio's coming through. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Here, continuing from, OBS rudely interrupting us. When Rat spoke like that, totally flat, no effect in his voice, Azoth felt a fear too deep to shiver out. Azoth knew violence. He'd seen sailors murdered, had seen prostitutes with fresh scars, had a friend die from a vendor's beating. Cruelty walked the Warrens holding hands with poverty and rage, but the dead look in Rat's eyes marked him as more of a freak than Hairlip. Hairlip had been born without part of his lip. Rat had been born without a conscience. What did you do? Azoth asked. Roth? Rat lifted his chin at the big. Roth opened the door, said, Good boy, as if speaking to a dog, and grabbed something. He hauled it inside, and Azoth saw that it was Jarl. Jarl's lips were swollen, both eyes black and so big he could barely see through its slits. He was missing teeth, and he had crusted blood on his face from where his hair had been pulled so hard his scalp bled. He was wearing a dress. Trigger warning. Azoth felt hot and cold tingles on his skin, a rush of blood onto his face. He couldn't show Rat weakness. He couldn't move. He turned so he wouldn't throw up. Behind him, Jarl let out a little whimper. Azo, please. Azo, don't turn away from me. I didn't want... Rat struck him across the face. Jarl fell to the ground and didn't move. Jarl's mine now, Rat said. He thinks he'll fight every night. And he will, for a while, Rat said. Smiled. But I'll break him. Time's on my side. I'll kill you, I swear it, Azoth said. Oh, are you Master Blint's apprentice now? Rat smiled as Azoth shot Jarl a look, feeling betrayed. Jarl turned his face to the floor, his shoulders shaking as he cried silently. Jarl told us all about it. Sometime between Roth and Davy, I think? But I'm confused. If Master Blint apprenticed you, why are you here, Azo? You come back to kill me? Jarl's tears stilled and he turned, grasping at straws. There was nothing to say. He wouldn't take me, Azoth admitted. Jarl slumped. Everyone knows he doesn't take apprentices, stupid, Rat said. So here's the deal, Azo. I don't know what you've done for him, but Jalaleel's ordered me not to touch you, and I won't. Sooner or later, this'll be my guild. Sooner, I think, Roth said. He wiggled his eyebrows at Azoth. I've big plans for Black Dragon, Azo, and I won't let you get in my way, Rat said. What do you want from me? Azoth's voice came out thin and greedy. I want you to be a hero. I want everyone who doesn't dare stand up to me themselves to look at you and start to hope. Then I'll destroy everything you've done. I will destroy everything you love. I will destroy you so completely that no one will ever defy me again. So do your best. Do your worst. Do nothing at all. I win no matter what. I always do. Azoth didn't pay dues the next day. He hoped Rat would hit him. Just once and he'd be off the pedestal. He'd just be another guild rat. But Rat didn't hit him. He'd raged and swore, his eyes smiling, and told Azoth to bring double next time. Of course, he brought nothing. He merely extended an empty hand as if already beaten. Didn't matter. Rat raged, accused him of defying him, and didn't lay a hand on him. So it was, every due's day. Gradually, Azoth went back to work and started accumulating coppers to put in Jarl's pack. The days were awful. Rat didn't let Jarl speak to Azoth, and after a while, Azoth didn't think Jarl even wanted to speak to him. The Jarl he knew disappeared by slow degrees. He didn't even help when they stopped making him wear the dress. The nights were worse. Rat took Jarl every night while the rest of the guild pretended not to hear. Again, I did specify trigger warning at the beginning of the book and a trigger warning at the page prior to this a few seconds ago, and another trigger warning before we get any farther into this. This is the only time I have to specify it. Anything after this and the rest of the series, we're clear. Azoth and Dollgirl huddled together, and in the quiet punctuated by low weeping afterwards, Azoth lay on his back for long hours, plotting elaborate revenge that he knew he'd never carry out. He became reckless, cursing Rat to his face, questioning every order the boy gave, and championing anyone Rat beat. Rat swore back, but always with that little smile in his eyes. The littles and the losers in the guild started deferring to Azoth and looking at him with worshipful eyes. Azoth could feel the guild reaching a critical mass the day two bigs brought him lunch and sat with him on the porch. It was a revelation. He never believed that any of the bigs would follow him. Why would they? He was nothing. And then he saw his mistake. He never made plans for what to do when Biggs joined him. Across the yard, Jalileel sat, miserable, coughing blood and looking hopeless. So stupid. Rat had been waiting for this. He'd arranged for Azoth to be the hero. He'd even told him this wasn't going to be a coup. It was going to be a purge. Father, please, don't go. Logan Gear held his father's destier, ignoring the pre-dawn chill and holding back tears. No, leave it, Duke Gear told Wendell North, his steward, who was directing servants with chests full of Duke's clothing. Own 1,000 wool cloaks sent within a week. Use our funds and don't ask for repayment. I don't want to give the king an excuse to say no. He clasped gauntleted hands behind his back. I don't know what the shape of the garrison stables are in, but I like to have word from the Heavemere of how many horses they can send before winter. Already done, my lord. On every side, servants were coming and going, loading the wagons that would travel north with provisions and supplies. 100 geared knights made their own last-minute preparations, checking their saddles, horses, and weapons. Servants who would be leaving their families said hurried goodbyes. Duke Gear turned to Logan, and just seeing his father in his mail brought tears of pride and fear to Logan's eyes. Logan. Excuse me. Wow, I went too far. Son, you're 12 years old. I can fight. Even Master Vorden admits that I handle a sword almost as well as the soldiers. Logan, it isn't because I don't believe in your abilities that I'm making you stay. It's because I do. The fact is, your mother needs you here more than I need you in the mountains. But I want to go with you. I don't want to leave at all. It doesn't have anything to do with what we want. Jason and Ninir is trying to embarrass you. He said it's an insult for a duke to be given such a small command. He didn't mention the other things Jason had said. Logan didn't consider himself quick-tempered, but in the 3 months since King Davin had died and Eileen Gunder had assumed the title Eileen the Ninth, known condescendingly as Niner. Ah, I just got that. I never realized that the first read-through. And what do you think, son? I don't think you're afraid of anyone. But Jason and I was afraid. So Jason said I was afraid, did he? Is that where you got the bruises on your knuckles? Logan grinned suddenly. He was as tall as his father, and if he didn't have Regnus Gear's bulk yet, their guards, Master Ren Vorden, said it was only a matter of time. When Logan fought other boys, he didn't lose. Son, make no mistake, commanding the garrison at Screaming Winds is a slight, but it's better than exile or death. If I stay, the king will give me, or the other eventually. Each summer you'll come train with my men, but I need you here too. For half the year you'll be my eyes and ears in Scenaria. Your mother, he broke off and looked past Logan. Thinks your father is a fool, Katrina Gear said, coming up behind them suddenly. She had been born to another ducal family, the Graysons, and she had their green eyes, petite features, and temper. Despite the early hours, she was dressed in beautiful green silk dress edged with ermine, her hair brushed glossily. Regnus, if you get on that horse, I never want to see you come back. Meow. Who dat? Crafty madam! Hello, welcome, welcome. We are reading The Way of the Shadows by Brent Weeks, book 1 of the Night Angel trilogy. I lost my spot. 1 sec. Okay. Despite the early hours, she was dressed in a beautiful green silk dress edged with ermine, her hair brushed glossy. Regnus, if you get on that horse, I never want to see you come back. Katrina, we aren't having this discussion again. That jackal will hurl you against my family, you know that. Destroy you, destroy them, he wins no matter what. This is your family, Katrina, and I've made my decision. Duke Gear's voice carried with a whip crack of command, an edge that made Logan want to shrink and not be noticed. Which of your harlots are you taking with you? Not taking any of the maidservants, Katrina, though some of them will be hard to replace. I'm leaving them here out of respect for your... How stupid do you think I am? You'll just find sluts there. Katrina, go inside now. She obeyed, and Duke Gear watched her go. He spoke without turning toward Logan. Your mother. There are things I'll share with you when you're older. For now, I expect you to honor her, but you will be Lord Gear while I'm gone. Logan's eyes went wide. His father clapped him on the shoulder. That doesn't mean you get to skip your lessons. Wendell will teach you everything you need to know. I swear the man understands more about running our lands than I do. Only a 4-day ride away. You have a fine mind, son. That's why you have to stay. The city's the Viper's Nest. There are those who would destroy us. Your mother has seen hints of that and has been part of her troubles. I'm gambling with you, Logan. Wish I didn't have to. But you're the only piece I have left to play. Surprise them. Be smarter, better, braver, and faster than anyone expects. It's not a fair burden for me to put on you, but I must. Counting on you. House Gear is counting on you. All our retainers and vassals are counting on you. Maybe even the kingdom itself. Duke Gear swung up onto his huge white destier. Love you, son, but don't let me down. Chapter 6. We could take a break for a second. Take a little break between chapters. Kind of chat. Stretch. Oh, what time is it for everybody wherever you're at? It is currently 9:39 where I am. It's Friday tomorrow. I hope nobody minds. I am going to swap to my Be Right Back screen real quick so I can use restrooms and stuff, and I'm gonna run another ad break real quick so you guys don't get bothered and stuff while I'm reading. I'll see you in like 2.5, 3 minutes, give or take. Thank you guys. Thanks for sticking around. I hope to see you guys when I come back. Oh, 11:39. Cool. Thanks, Chronic. I'll see you here shortly. I have returned. Phones, headphones, beep boop, bop, beep. Thank you again to everybody. Even just your views help. It helps me get put out there. It helps me get pushed. It helps. I had somebody that got a random notification that I went live. They're like, who's this? And clicked on it. And I was like, cool, new member. Oh, not member, but new person, member to the community. Okay. So I did update the stream best I could for Twitch. I can't update midstream. But I can't see how much I actually have on Twitch right now, but I know I have at least maybe like I'm hoping I'm close to 100, if not at 100, because I could withdraw that and that'll put us at 220 bucks out of 1500. Because it sucks. It's $500 for blood work. And then another $200 for medication, as well as x-rays, which are like 75 bucks. And then baby Sin, I'm just starting with $1,500 because I don't even know. We might have to either remove her ear entirely, like, or they're just gonna like do some surgery on it. But like, so 2 of my tabbies got hematoma ears on both of their ears. Basically, they gave themselves cauliflower ear. Nerner's good. Nerner's fine. Is healed fine. Baby Sin's didn't heal all that well, so it's like she kind of gets really bad ear dirt and build up in there sometimes. So it's, I do my best to clean it, but it can get out of hand really fast. And I didn't catch because like I can't be up all night throughout the nights and stuff. So there's sometimes I miss things and woke up one time and her ear was her already cauliflowered ear was re-swollen, and I was like, I didn't even think that was possible. I didn't know you could re-cauliflower a cauliflower ear. I thought once it's happened, it's already done. Shows you how much I know. So I'm like, oh, that sucks. Don't look too bad, you know, it might be okay. Then Sunday we go to see Iron Lung, and I feel like if it wasn't so Iron Lung, we had an 11 a.m. showing, and we got there. And I feel like if they wouldn't have canceled it and we wouldn't have to wait 4 hours to get back home, I probably could have like saved her from doing what she did. I should have just put a cone on her to be safe, but I was giving her the benefit of the doubt because she wasn't scratching it. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's different this time, you know? And I get home and I noticed she was kind of like, you know when a cat's kind of eyes are big and they're just like kind of loafed, like, oh no, something's wrong, you know? I was like, oh, baby girl, what's going on? I see like right where like her head and ear meet kind of thing right there, swollen, just sliced open right there. She's got some back claws, so I'm pretty sure she just degloved her ear. So, and it's like, I know it sounds gross. I'm not trying to make you guys feel bad. I'm honestly venting. Almost 10 o'clock at night. I got 0 people on YouTube. But yeah, it's like, it sucks because I'm doing everything I can. And then Fatto, I noticed he's Fatto for a reason. He's chunky, and I noticed he's kind of like, got a little skinny and throwing up a little bit. He's acting how Duke acted and how Nerner had acted when he got into something. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it in time for Duke, so I'm trying to make it in time for Chumpers. So I'm gonna try to go in tomorrow and with my care credit now, see if I could get him sorted. Like, I try to tip everything over, flip it over completely. Bowls, plates, everything in the kitchen is all already flipped over, and what's in the sink, I don't leave much in there anymore. All of the stuff I'm done cooking with, if I don't clean it that same night, it goes directly in the oven. Not on, of course, just for storage. It sucks. I got a lot of animals. I kind of put myself in this position. I should have been more prepared. I know that, but like things happen, things we didn't expect. Chronic illnesses, me not having a job anymore, dad passing. Yeah. Let's get back to the book. Enough chatting now. Let's get back to reading. All right. See how long we can go. Chapter 6. Ah. Okay, chapter 6. Darkness was as close and cold as dead's embrace. Azoth squatted against the alley wall, hoping the night wind covered the sound of thunder in his heart. The fifth big who joined him had stolen a shiv from Rat's weapons cache, and Azoth clutched the thin metal so tightly his hand hurt. There was still no motion in the alley. Azoth stuck the blade in the dirt of the alley and put his hands in his armpits to keep them warm. Nothing might happen for hours. It didn't matter. He was running out of chances. He wasted too much time as it was. Rat wasn't stupid. He was cruel, but he had plans Azoth didn't. He'd been flailing in his fear for 3 months, flailing when he could have been planning. The Fist had declared his intentions. That made it easy enough. Azoth knew some of what he was planning. All he had to do was piece together how. Now, as he thought, he could feel himself slipping into Rat's skin all too easily. Thinking Rat's thoughts. Purge isn't good enough. Purge will give me safety for a couple of years. Other guilds' heads have killed to keep their power. Killing doesn't make me different. Azoth worked on the idea. Rat didn't have small ambitions. Rat had bottled up his hatred for 3 months. Why would he be willing to not even hit Azoth for 3 months? Destruction. That's what it came down to. Rat would destroy him in a spectacular fashion. He would sate his own cruelty and advance his power. He would do something so awful that Azoth would become the story of guilds would tell. He might not even kill him, just leave him maimed in some horrific way so that everyone who met Azoth would fear Rat more. The shuffling sound in the alley and Azoth tensed. Slowly, so slowly, he pulled out the shiv. The alley was tight. The buildings sagged so close a grown man could touch both walls at the same time. Azoth had chosen it for that reason. He wouldn't let his quarry slip past him. But now the wall seemed malevolent, stretching hungry fingers towards each other, closing out the stars, grabbing for him. Wind muttered over the roofs, telling tales of murder. Azoth heard the shuffle again and relaxed. A scarred old rat emerged from... I thought I heard something else. Hold on. My husband's asleep. He doesn't know I'm live streaming this right now. My door's closed. Poop Stack would bark if there was somebody breaking in. That I know for sure. Speaking of, this motherfucking dog, that's another thing. I hope she isn't gonna get sick because I'm sitting there like, oh no, the trash needs to go out. I hear the trash man coming. So I'm like, fuck. So I'm going to grab all my slippers. I get it on, and as I'm in my room, I'm like putting on my slippers and peeking out the window. Like, what the fuck is she eating? It looked like she found another ball in this yard because this dog has found so many balls in this yard, and I don't know where they're coming from for the past year. She's just like finding them in the dirt and digging them up. She's got a nose like a hound dog, and she's like a Teddy Roosevelt Terrier. She's a tiny little Mack truck turn radius thing. But, like, what the fuck is she out there ripping up? And it's like these balls she's been finding have been really stringy, so I don't want her eating string and having that get like tangled up in her tummy, you know? So I'm getting out there. Oh god, the closer I get, I'm like, Bobby, drop it! She got a squirrel. She got a squirrel, man. It wasn't a squirrel by the time I got to it. It was a foot and some fur. And I was like, what the fuck? for this. I was like, get your ass inside right now, poop stack. She was like, okay. She like waddled up to the door. I swear to God, this dog, I never thought she was able to catch a squirrel. Like, holy crap. I'm both shocked, slightly impressed. Like, mind you, her legs are this fucking big, lengthwise. So tell me how this, and she's about that long. I'd say about 1.5 feet. She's like a sausage with legs. When she lays on her side, her legs stick out like this. It's insane. She's adorable. I post her. She's in my Discord. If you guys want to join the Discord to see it, she's in Discord. Precious little girl. But yeah, I was just like, gotta bring the attention back on you, huh, Poopstack? I got two other cats right now, so I have 3 dogs and 11 cats, for everybody wondering. Majority of them are fine. It's just the 2 that I'm having issues with right now. And then Tuna, Big Tuna, her name is Luna. She has a, whatchamacallit, the thing that makes you get the thyroid issue. So she's like a solid box. I need to like see if there's like some medication I can get her on or something. But she's fine. I help her clean. I shave her back. I give her sanitary shaves. She's good. She's great. She's a lovely cat. Oh my god. Oh, all my kitties are lovely. I love them all. Especially Duke. Here now. Duke boy. With us in stream, in spirit. He is the spirit ashes. Alright. Let's get back to reading. Sorry about the little trail off there. Okay. Azoth heard the shuffle again and relaxed. A scarred older rat emerged from under a pile of moldering boards and sniffed. Azoth held still as the rat waddled forward, sniffed at Azoth's bare feet, nudged them with his wet nose, and sensing no danger, moved forward to feed. Just as the rat moved to bite— oh, excuse me, hold on. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Okay. Just as the rat moved to bite, Azoth buried the shiv behind its ear and into the ground beneath. It jerked but didn't let out a squeak. He withdrew the thin iron. Satisfied with his stealth, he checked the alley again. Still nothing. So where am I weak? What would I do to destroy me if I were rat? Something tickled his neck and he brushed it away. Curse the bugs. Bugs? It's freezing out here. It came down from his neck, warm and sticky. Azoth turned and lashed out, but the shiv went spinning from his hand as something struck his wrist. Durzo Blint squatted on his heels not a foot away. He didn't speak. He just stared, his eyes colder than the night. There was a long pause as they stared at each other, neither saying a word. You saw the rat, Azoth said, an eyebrow lifted. You cut me where I cut it. You were showing me that you're as much better than me as I am better than the rat. A hint of a smile. A strange little guild rat you are. So smart, so stupid. Azoth looked at the shiv, now magically in Durzo's hand, and felt ashamed. He was stupid. What had he been thinking? He was going to threaten a wet boy? But he said, I'm going to apprentice with you. Blint's open hand cracked across his face and sent him sprawling into the wall. His face scraped up against rock, and he landed heavily. When he rolled over, Blint was standing over him. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't kill you, Blint said. Dollgirl. She wasn't the only answer to Blint's question. She was Azoth's weakness. She was where Rat would strike. A wave of nausea swept over Azoth. First Jarl, and now Dollgirl. You should, Azoth said. Blint raised an eyebrow again. You're the best wet boy in the city, but you're not the only one. And if you won't apprentice me and you won't kill me, I'll train under Hugh Gibbet, or Scarred Brabble. I'll spend my life training just for the moment I have my chance at you. I'll wait until you think I've forgotten today. I'll wait until you think it was just a dumb guild rat threat. After I'm a master, you'll jump at shadows for a while, but after you jump a dozen times and I'm not there, you won't jump just once, and that's when I'll be there. I don't care if you kill me at the same time. I'll trade my life for yours. Urzo's eyes barely had to shift to go from dangerously amused to simply dangerous. But Azoth didn't even see them through the tears brimming in his own eyes. He only saw the vacant look that had come into Jarl's eyes and imagined seeing it on Dollgirl's. He imagined her screams if Rat came and took her every night. She'd scream wordlessly for the first few weeks, maybe fight, bite, and scratch for a while. Then she wouldn't scream anymore and wouldn't fight at all. There would just be grunting and the sounds of flesh and Rat's pleasure, just like Jarl. Your life's so empty, boy. Will be if you say so. I want to be like you. No one wants to be like me. Blint drew a huge black sword and touched the edge to Azoth's throat. In a moment, Azoth didn't care if the blade drank his life's blood. Death would be kinder than watching Dollgirl disappear before his eyes. You like hurting people? Blint asked. No, sir. Ever killed anyone? No. Then why are you wasting my time? What was wrong with him? Did he really mean that? He couldn't. I heard you don't like it. That you don't have to like it to be good, Azoth said. Who told you that? Mama Kay said that. She said that that's the difference between you and some of the others. Blint frowned. He pulled a clove of garlic from a pouch and popped it into his mouth. He sheathed his sword, chewing. All right, kid. You want to get rich? Azoth nodded. You're quick, but can you tell me what your marks are thinking and remember 50 things at once? Do you have good hands? Nod, nod, nod. Be a gambler, Durzo laughed. Azoth didn't. He looked at his feet. I don't want to be afraid anymore. Jalilil beats you? Jalilil's nothing. Then who is? Blint asked. Our fist, Rat. Why was it so hard to say his name? He beats you? Unless you'll do things with him. It sounded weak, but Blint didn't say anything, so Azoth said, won't let anyone beat me again. Not ever. Blint kept looking past Azoth, giving him time to blink away his tears. The full moon bathed the city in golden light. The old WHORE can be beautiful, he said, despite everything. Azoth followed. They were talking about Mama Kay. Mama Kay's character is so awesome in this. I love her. Azoth followed Blint's gaze, but there was no one else in sight. Silver mist rose from the warm manure in the cattle yards and coiled around old broken aqueducts in the darkness. Azoth couldn't see the bleeding man freshly scrawled over his own guild's black dragon, but he knew it was there. His guild had been losing territory steadily since Jalilil got sick. Sir, Azoth said, the city's got no culture but street culture. The buildings are brick on the street. Brick on one street, daub and wattle the next, and bamboo one over. Titles Alitarian, clothes Callian, music all Sethi harps and Lodricari lyres. The damn rice paddies themselves stolen from Sarah. But as long as you don't touch her or look too close, sometimes she's beautiful. Azoth thought he understood. You had to be careful what you touched and where you walked in the warrens. Pools of vomit and other bodily fluids were splattered in the streets, and the dung-filled fires and fatty steam from the constantly boiling tallow vats covered everything within a greasy soot sheen. Blint paused. Excuse me. But he had no reply. He wasn't even sure Blint was talking to him. You're close, boy, but I never take apprentices, and I won't take you. Blint paused and idly spun the shiv from finger to finger. Not unless you do something you can't. Hope burst into life in Azoth's breast for the first time in months. I'll do anything, he said. You'd have to do it alone. No one else could know. You'd have to figure out how, when, and where. All by yourself. What do I have to do? Azoth asked. He could feel the night angels curling their fingers around his stomach. How did he know what Blint was going to say next? Blint picked up the dead rat and threw it to Azoth. Just this. Kill your rat and bring me proof. You've got a week. I'm gonna head off to bedland. I had a really long day at work. Have a good rest of stream. Thank you, Chronic. I appreciate you stopping by, and I hope it was nice with the reading stream. I plan on trying to do more of these, so just let me know your guys' honest feedback. And yeah, don't forget to join the Discord if you're not a part of it, for whoever's here. It's pretty chill. We got a taco shack. Go on a taco shack. You could adopt a Tatsugachi. A little more of a complicated bot, but it's fun. You can catch cats. I just type in cat. Literally, it's the simplest bot of the server. You see a cat pop up, you type cat. You can type car too. You get some cool stuff when you type car. A lot of cool achievements. Cat butt. Ooh, we are on to chapter 7. Oh my. I did a workout. Legs. Oh, legs! Oh! It's been such a life year this start. And back to reading. Ooh. I feel like I got stung by something, like an ant, but there was nothing there. Okay. I got some new stuff on stream. I don't know if they work, but oh no, the browser. How is the browser choice? Oh, okay. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna add some stuff to stream, so it's like if I'm reading, you could also do it. It's pretty cool. Uh. Just a moment, guys. I'm gonna add. I added it to my other. I'm gonna add it to my create. I'm so stupid. I need to learn tech more. Attack. Hold on. Yeah, stream attack. Browser and add existing. Stream attacks. Yay. Can't use my own channel. But the new things I added, the extensions. So Pando and Stream Attacks use bits, but Stream Attacks, if I remember correctly, so 25 bits, you could throw a sandal at me on here, like on the screen, like flat. Or you could throw a tomato, whatever you choose, you could throw it at the screen. I think it puts your name on there too. Pretty cool. Flipper. If somebody could throw it, that'd be great. And then there's Pando too. What? Yeah, Pando's working too. His name is Matcha. I got a pet named Matcha. I didn't know I had a pet on stream. Pet Cafe, daily special. Order to unlock a new look. Oh. Okay, so that's neat. It's like a little mini game on stream that you could play. Oh my god, that's so neat, you guys. You gotta check it out. I can't do anything on it because I can't use bits on my own channel. We're doing some things, guys. I don't know what we're doing, but we're doing it. Alright, so I'm gonna leave that be. You guys can explore it. That's actually really cool. I encourage you to check it out. That looks really interesting. Pando and Dream Attacks. Give it a whirl. I really like to see how they work. Okay. I wish I made chicken nuggets earlier, but I ended up eating my last spicy chicken patty. That because I want a spicy chicken patty right now. Like a spicy chicken patty and ranch. Oh, God. Pasta I've been making has not been coming out. The red pasta, I don't know if it's the flavors of sauce I've been getting or if it's the cheap sauce. I'm getting like the house brand or like ragu, which is like $1.50. But I'm sad. I added ground beef and Italian sausage to my last one and spinach because I'm trying to eat more greens. And I don't care what you say, spinach in red sauce pasta is good. It's really good. And the sauces we got was roasted garlic and a garden vegetable. I think the garden vegetable uh I think of the damn vegetable's name. Green bell pepper. I think that set it off a little weird. So let's continue. Chapter 7. Solon Tufosin led the nag up Siddlin Way. Between the gaudy, close-packed mansions between the gaudy, close-packed manses of the great families of Scenaria. Many of the houses were less than a decade old. Others were older but had been recently remodeled. The buildings along this one street were qualitatively different than, wow, what the hell is that word? Qualitatively different from the rest of the Cenarian architecture. These had been made by those hoping their money could purchase culture. All were ostentatious. You know what? These words up. Characterized by vulgar or pretentious display designed to impress or attract notice.
Ostentatious.
Ostentatious. All right. Learned a new word. That is awesome. Okay, moving on. The buildings along this one street were qualitatively different from all the rest of the Cenarian architecture. These had been made by those hoping their money could purchase culture. All were wow, I forgot ostentatious. I forgot how to pronounce it already, guys. Ostentatious. All were ostentatious, trying to rival their neighbors by their exotic design. Whether in builders' fantasies or of Ladician spires or Phryaki pleasure domes, or in more accurately articulated Alitarian mansions or perfect scale imitations of famous Syrian summer palaces. There was even what he thought he recognized from a painting as a bulbous Umeri temple, complete with prayer flags, slave money, he thought. Excuse me. Throat was getting a little red. Excuse me. It wasn't slavery that appalled him. On his island, slavery was common, but not like it had been here. These manses had been built on pit fighters and baby farms. It had been out of his way, but he'd walk through the warrens to see what the silent half of his new home city was like. The squalor there made the wealth here obscene. He was tired. Though not tall, he was thick. Thick through the stomach and, mercifully, still thicker through the chest and shoulders. The nag was a good horse, but she was no war horse, and he had to walk her as often as he rode. I just got a notification for something, but it's not something for YouTube. So whoever that was, hi, thank you. For yourself, maybe? Hi here. Okay. I don't know what that was, I really don't. It's not showing up on my activity feed, but it was something for YouTube. Okay. Show yourself if you'd like, if not, let's continue reading. Large estates loomed ahead, differentiated from the others not so much by the size of the buildings as the amount of land within the walls. Where the manses were packed side by side, the estates sprawled. Guards presided over the gates of ironwood rather than the intricate grillwork. Gates built long ago for defense, not decoration. The gate of the first estate bore the Jadwin trout inlaid with gold leaf. Through the sally port, he saw the lavish garden filled with statues, some marble, some covered with beaten gold. No wonder they have a dozen guards. All the guards were professional and had a few furlongs short of handsome, which gave credence to the rumors about the Duchess. He was more than happy to pass the Jadwin estate. He was a handsome man with olive skin, black eyes, and hair still black as night, untouched by the gray shadows of dawn. Sharing a house with the voracious Duchess whose husband left on frequent and lengthy embassies was trouble he didn't need. Give me one sec. I don't know why there's a rerun tag in my title, but it's there. Not that I'll find less where I'm going. Dorian, my friend, I hope this will be genius. He didn't want to consider the other possibility. I am Solon Tufusin. I'm here to see Lord Gear, Solon said as he arrived in front of the Gears estate gate. The Duke? The guard asked. He pushed his helm back and scraped a hand across his forehead. Man's a simpleton. Yes, Duke Gear, he spoke slowly and with more emphasis than was necessary, but he was tired. That's a crying shame, the guard said. Solon waited, but the man didn't elaborate. Not a simpleton, an ass. Is Lord Gear gone? Nope. So that's what this is about. The red hair should have tipped me off, Solon said. I know that after millennia of being raided, the smarter Sarians moved inland, leaving your ancestors on the coast. And I realized that when Sethi pirates raided your village, they carried off all of the present abled women, again leaving your ancestors. So through no fault of your own, you're both stupid and ugly, but you might attempt to explain how Lord Gear is both gone and not gone? You can use small words. Perversely, the man looked pleased. No marks on your skin, no rings through your face. You don't even talk like a fish, and you're fat for a fish too. Let me guess. They offered you to the sea, but the sea gods wouldn't take you, and when you washed up on the beach, you were nursed by a troll who mistook you for one of her own. She was blind, Solon said, and when the man laughed, he decided he liked him. Duke Gear left this morning. He won't be back, the guard said. He won't be back? You mean ever? Not my place to talk about it, but no, not ever. Unless I miss my guess, he's gone to command the garrison at Screaming Winds. But you said Lord Gear isn't gone, Solon said. The Duke named his son Gear until he returns. Which will be never. You're quick for a fish. His son Logan is the Gear. Not good. For the life of him, Solon couldn't remember if Dorian had said Duke Gear or Lord Gear. Solon hadn't even considered that there might be two heads of House Gear. If the prophecy was about Duke Gear, he needed to get writing now, but if it were about his son, Solon would be leaving his charge at the time he needed him most. May I speak with Lord Gear? Can you use that steel? The guard asked. If you can't, I'd suggest you hide it. Excuse me? Don't say I didn't warn you. Come with me. The guard called to another atop the wall, who came to hold the gate while the Surian led Solon into the estate. A stable boy took the nag, and Solon kept his sword. He couldn't help but be impressed. The Gear estate had a permanence about it, the deliberate gravitas of an old family. A canthus was planted inside the walls and out, growing from red soil. Solon knew that this had been brought in especially for the purpose. The thistly plants hadn't just been chosen to keep beggars or thieves from the walls, they had also had long associations with the Alitarian nobility. The manse itself was similarly daunting, all heavy stone and broad arches and thick doors that could withstand a siege engine. Not only compromised strength had made with each The only compromise strength had made with beauty were the climbing blood roses that framed each door and every ground floor window. Against the backdrop of black stone and iron-barred windows, perfect red hue was striking. Excuse me. Throat's getting really dry. Probably keep this up a little more. Or we can get. Solon didn't pay attention to the ringing of steel until the guard walked past the entry to the manse and around to the back of the building. Here, with a view across the plinth to the castle Sonaria, several guards were watching as two men bundled in practice armor pummeled each other. The smaller man was retreating, going back in circles as the larger man's blows thudded on his shield. The smaller man stumbled and his opponent bull rushed, leveling him with a shield like a ram. The man raised his sword, but the next blow sent it flying, and the next rang his helmet like a bell. Logan Gear tore off his helmet and laughed, helping the guard to his feet. Solon's heart sank. This was Lord Gear? He was a child in a giant's body, baby fat still on his face. He couldn't have been more than 14. Probably younger. Solon could imagine Dorian laughing. Dorian knew he didn't like children. The Surin guard stepped forward and spoke quietly to Lord Gear. Hello, the boy lord said, turning to Solon. Marcus tells me you fancy yourself quite a swordsman. Are you? Solon looked at Surin, who gave him a self-satisfied smile. His name is Marcus? Even the names in this country were a mess. With little regard for people's origins, Alitarian names like Marcus or Lucien mixed freely with Lodricari names like Rhodo or Daedra. Surin names like Hideo or Shizumi, and normal Cenarian names like Eileen or Feline. About the only names most people wouldn't name their children were the slaves' names common in the Warrens, like Scar or Hairlip. I can hold my own, Lord Gear, but it is words I wish to exchange with you, not blows. I go now, my old mare, and I can make it to the garrison in 6, maybe 7 days. We will speak then, after we spar. Marcus, get him some practice armor. The men looked pleased, and Solon saw that they loved this young lord like he was their own son, and laughed too easily and spoiled him. He was suddenly the Gear, and the men were still entranced by the novelty of the idea. I don't need it, Solon said. Chuckling stopped, and the men looked at him. You want to spar without armor? Logan asked. I don't want to spar at all, but if it is your will, I shall consent, but I won't fight with a practice blade. The men hooted in the prospect of seeing this short Sethi fight their giant unarmored. Only Marcus and 1 or 2 others looked troubled. With the thick armor Logan wore, there was little danger that he would be seriously injured, even with a sharp sword. But the danger was there. In his eyes, Solon saw that Logan knew it too. He was suddenly doubting if he knew. He was suddenly doubting if he should have been quite so brash with someone who knew nothing about, someone who might well wish him harm. Logan was looking at Solon's stocky build. My lord, Marcus said. Maybe it would be best if, agreed, Logan said to Solon. He pulled his helmet on and locked his visor. He unlimbered his sword and said, ready when you are. Before Logan could react, Solon jabbed his fingers through the boy's visor, grabbed the nose piece, he yanked Logan forward and twisted. The boy slammed into the ground with a grunt. Solon drew a knife from Logan's belt, held it to the boy's eye, his knee resting on the side of Logan's helmet, holding it in place. "Do you yield?" Solon asked. The boy's breaths were labored. "I yield." Solon released him and stood, brushing the dust from the leg of his breeches. He didn't offer to help Lord Gearstand. The men were quiet. Several had drawn swords, but none moved forward. It was obvious that if Solon had meant to kill Logan, he would have done it already. No doubt they were thinking about what Duke Gear would have done to them if such a thing had happened. "You're a fool, boy, Lord Gear," Solon said. "A buffoon performing for men you may one day have to ask to die for you." He said Duke Gear. Surely Dorian said Duke Gear. But he sent me here. Surely he would have sent me to the garrison directly if he meant the Duke. Prophecy wasn't about me. Dorian couldn't have known that I would be held up. That I would get to the city in this late. Could he? Logan removed his helmet. He was red-faced, but he didn't let his embarrassment flare into anger. He said, "I deserve that. And I deserve the manhandling you just gave me. Or worse, I'm sorry. It is poor host who assaults his guests." "You know they've been losing on purpose, don't you?" Logan looked stricken. He glanced at the man he'd been fighting as Solon arrived, then stared at his own feet. Then, as if it took an effort of will, he raised his eyes to Solon. "I see that you speak true. Though it shames me to learn it, I thank you." And now his men looked ashamed. They had been letting him win because they loved him. And now they shamed their lord. The men weren't just pained, they were in misery. How does this boy command such loyalty? Is it just loyalty to his father? As he watched Logan look at each of the men in turn, staring until he met his gaze, and then looked away. Solon doubted that. Logan paused. Solon doubted that. Logan let the pained silence sit and grow. "In 6 months' time," Logan said, addressing the men, "I will serve at my father's garrison. I will not sit safely in the castle. I will fight, and so will many of you. But since you seem to think sparring is entertainment, very well. You will entertain yourselves by sparring until midnight. All of you. Tomorrow we will start training, and I expect all of you to be there an hour before dawn. Understood?" "Yes, sir." Logan turned to Solon. "Sorry about that. Master Tofuson. About all of it, please call me Logan. You'll stay for dinner, of course, but can I also have the servants prepare a room for you?" "Yes," Solon said. "I think I'd like that." All right. Moving on to one of the other people in this. They're crazy. They are the Verdmeister Neftata. Yeah. Look, I don't have anything. What's that supposed to mean? But should I like put it in Nightbot? The book I'm reading? I can make that happen. Right, it should actually work. Hopefully, no? Maybe? If you want to try it again, it could work. Well, does Nightbot not, like, want to work? I updated it. I don't know if it works when I type like that. Maybe? It's the Night Angel Trilogy, Book 1, The Way of the Shadows. No, you're good. It's The Night Angel Trilogy, Book 1, Way of the Shadows by Brent Weeks. An assassin's book. One of the first fantasy books I started reading that my grandpa wanted to buy me. I would buy a book and he would buy an audiobook because he was a trekker, so he would listen to his audiobooks and I would read my fantasy. Good stuff though. It's a really good book. There's 3 of them in the trilogy, and I wanted to start reading the Avery Cates series, but I don't know what happened to my book 1. I have book 2 and 3. I need to get the book 1. I think I might start trying to do that for my members only pre-reading, like pre-recordings, because I wanted to do like sound effects over those ones for my members only. But that one is really interesting. It takes place in like the future kind of stuff. There's like a New York kind of thing, and I gotta look it up. Hold on. The Electric Church. Jeff Sommers is the first one, and then The Digital Plague is the second one, and The Eternal Prison is the third one, and I think there's a fourth one. It is a 2007 cyberpunk noir novel about a near-future world where a new religion, the Electric Church, offers eternal life through cybernetic conversion, and a dangerous criminal, Avery Cates, is hired to assassinate its leader, Dennis Squalor, leading him into a deadly conflict with the church's cyborg, monks, and the corrupt government. The book is known for its gritty, dark tone blending sci-fi thriller and crime fiction elements, and is often compared to Blade Runner. That's probably why I like it so much. You should do the voiceovers. You definitely should. I remember you saying you wanted to pursue all that, and I still think you should. But yeah, I want to read this one, but I need to get the first book again. And then, at least if I get the first book, I have the other 2 books, so. And the funny part about this series, I had all 3 of these. I had all 3 of the other ones. I somehow lost book 1 for the Avery Cates series, and I let my friend borrow these books. That's how they were returned to me. They were perfectly fine when I let them go. Like, they're bent so bad. And it's like, I lost book 3. So I lost book 1 of one, and I lost book 3 of this one. So I'm gonna have to buy book 3 again if we want to finish this. Alright. Alright, 2 hours and 17 minutes. Not bad. I think we can make it through another chapter. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm tired. Oof. Book talk girlies, I'll dog ear your page. You dog ear the pages in my book. These hands are gonna dog ear you. I'll fold you just like you folded my page. No, that shit pisses me off. I don't like when people dog ear pages. This was like an old piece of plastic that I just put like sparkly tape on. I don't have bookmarks. If I ain't using this, I'm using a fucking Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh card. Normal. I don't know if that's normal, but it's me. I'm gonna have some chicken nuggets when I go lay down. Chicken nuggets and ranch. Alright. Hey, you done with that book? Halfway Rip's book. Here you go. Just literally just like, oh yeah, you want to share the book? You know, that's cool and all. God damn. Here, you can have this half. You can read this half. Have this half. We'll swap when we're done. You ever start a book from the ending and read it backwards? Like rewinding a book in real life. Alright. Every manga ever. Actually, yeah. Damn. You got me on that one. I set myself up for that one. Alright, let's go. Chapter 8. Every time Birdmaster Neftata met with Rat, it was in a different place. Rooms and inns, cellars of boat shops, bakeries, east side parks, dead-end alleys and warrens. Ever since Neff had figured out that Rat was afraid of the dark, he'd made sure they were always met at night. Tonight, Neff watched Rat and his bodyguards enter the tiny old overfull graveyard. It wasn't as dark as Neff would have hoped. Taverns and game halls and whorehouses huddled not 30 paces away. Rat didn't dismiss his bodyguards immediately. Like most parts of the warrens, the graveyard was less than a foot above the waterline. The rabbits, as the natives of the warrens were called, buried their dead directly in the mud. They had the money, they erected sarcophagi above the ground, but ignorant immigrants had buried their dead in coffins after some riot or another years ago. And the ground had swollen above these graves as coffins fought to float to the surface. Several had broken open, their contents devoured by feral dogs. Rat and his bodyguards looked sick with fright. Go on, Rat finally said to his bigs, nonchalantly picking up a skull and tossing it at one of them. The boy stepped back quickly, and the skull, weak with age or disease, shattered on the stone. Hello, child, Neff rasped into Rat's ear. Rat flinched, and Neff smiled his gap-toothed smile, his long, sparse white hair falling in a greasy trickle to his shoulders. Neff stood so close to the boy. So close, the boy took a step back. What do you want? Why am I here? Rat asked. Ah, petulance and philosophy all bound up in one. Neff shuffled closer. He'd grown up in Lodrakar, east of Kalidor. The Lodrakari thought men who distanced themselves so much that you couldn't even smell their breath were hiding something. Merchants in Scenaria who dealt with the Lodrakari complained bitterly about it, but stood close eagerly enough when Lodrakari coins were at stake. But Neff didn't stand close for cultural reasons. He hadn't lived in Lodrakar for half a century. He stood close because he liked to see Rat's discomfort. Ha! Neff said, exhaling a gust of rotten air over Rat's face. What? Rat said, trying not to edge back. I haven't given up on you yet, you great stupid boy. Sometimes you manage to learn despite yourself. But that's not what I'm here for. Not what you're here for, either. It's time to move. Your enemies are arrayed against you, but not yet organized. How do you know that? I know more than you think, Ratty Fatty. Neff laughed again, and spittle flew onto Rat's face. Rat almost struck him then. Neff could tell. Rat had become a guild fist for a reason. But of course he'd never hit Neff. The old man knew he looked frail. But a Verdmeister had other defenses. Do you know how many boys your father has whelped? Neff asked. Rat looked around the graveyard as if Neff hadn't already checked for anyone eavesdropping. The boy was hopelessly stupid. Stupid, but capable of cunning and utterly ruthless. Besides, Neff didn't have many choices. When he'd come to Scenaria, he'd been placed in charge of 4 boys. The most promising one had eaten some bad meat in the first year and died before Neff had even known he was sick. This week, the second had been killed in territory fight between guilds. That left Neff with only 2. His Holiness has fathered 132 boys the last time I counted. Most of these lacked talent and were cold. You are one of the 43 who are his seed. Told you this before. What I haven't told you is that each of you is given a task, a test to prove your usefulness to your father. If you pass, you may one day become God King yourself. Can you guess what your task is? Rat's beady eyes glittered with visions of opulent splendor. Neff slapped him. Your task, boy! Rat rubbed his cheek, trembling with rage. Become Shinga, he said quietly. Well, the boy aimed higher than Neff would have guessed. Good. His Holiness has declared that Scenaria will fall, as will all of the Southlands. The Sakage is the only real power in Scenaria. So, yes, you will become Shinga. Then you will give your father Scenaria and everything in it. Or, more likely, you will fail and die, and one of your brothers will do this. There are others in the city? Rat asked. Your father is a god, but his tools are men and thus fail. His Holiness plans accordingly. Now, my little failure in waiting, what is your brilliant plan to deal with Azoth? Rage roared high in Rat's eyes once more. But he controlled it. One word from Neff and Rat would Rat would be one more corpse floating in the plyth by morning. They both knew it. In truth, Neff was testing him. Cruelty was Rat's greatest asset. Neff had seen Rat's bloodthirstiness cow older boys who might have killed him, but it was worthless if he couldn't control it. Rat said, I'll kill Azoth. I'll make him bleed like... What you can't do is kill him. If you do, he will be forgotten. Another will take his place. He must live broken where the world can see him. I'll beat him in front of everyone. I'll break his hands, and what happens if his lizards rush to defend him? They wouldn't. They're too afraid. Unlike other boys, I know, Neff said. Azoth isn't stupid. He knew what it meant when those bigs came to him. He may have been even planning for this all along. The first thing he'll expect is that you'll get scared and try to beat him. They'll have a plan for it. Neff watched the realization settle on Rat. That he might actually lose control of the guild. If he lost the guild, he'd lose his life. But you have a plan, Rat said. A way I can destroy him, don't you? I might even share it, Neff said. It was coming. Azoth could feel it as he lay on the floor surrounded by his lizards. His guild. His. 15 littles and 5 bigs. Half the littles in Black Dragon and a quarter of the bigs were his now. They slept peacefully around him. Probably even Badger, who was supposed to only be feigning sleep. Azoth hadn't slept for 4 days. The night he'd come home from talking to Blint, and every night since he'd lain awoke, plotting, doubting, feverish with excitement about a life without Rat, and the rising light of day had melted his plans with the fog. He'd called those who stood with him his lizards as a joke. They certainly weren't dragons, but the children had taken the name proudly, deaf to the despair of the label. During the days, he acted, given orders, formed pathetic lizards into a force, done anything to keep his mind off killing Rat. How long would Rat wait? The time for a purge was now. Everyone was waiting to see what Rat would do. Everyone was still sure that he would do something. He didn't, though, and soon his faithful would start to doubt. Wow, excuse me, I stuttered there. If he didn't, though, and soon, his faithful would start to doubt him, and he'd lose the guild in an instant. Azoth had given orders for 3 of the littles he trusted most to guard Dalgar all the time. Then he doubted himself. It wasn't a good use of the strength he had. He needed those littles bringing him information, listening to the others in the guild, searching the other guilds to see if any of the neighboring guilds would like the lizards to join them. Besides, what could 3 littles do against all of Rat's bigs? Children who were 8, 10, and 11 respectively weren't going to stop Rats. 15 and 16-year-olds. He'd ended up assigning 2 of the bigs who had joined him first to watch over her, and had kept her close during every waking hour. Oh. Oh my god. Good god. Good golly, I'm tired. Ugh. He was slipping, though. The nights without sleep were catching up with him. His mind was a muddle. It was only a matter of time until he made a stupid mistake. And all of it was because he didn't have the guts to kill Rat. He could do it tonight. It would be easy, really. Rat had gone out before midnight with 2 bigs. When they got back, he'd fall asleep instantly. Bastard never had trouble sleeping. Azoth had the shiv. He even had a real knife that one of the bigs had stolen. All he had to do was walk up to Rat and stick him. Anywhere in the stomach would work. Even if Rat's dragons were loyal enough to take him to the healer, they'd certainly take all of his money. What healer was going to work for free on a guild rat? All Azoth had to do was wait 5 minutes after Rat got back, and get up to piss on his way back. It was the only way Dollgirl would ever be safe. He knew that becoming a wet boy would mean everything would change. Wet boys were knives in the dark. Azoth would learn how to fight, how to kill. He wouldn't just learn how, he'd do it. Blint would expect to kill him. That niggled at him. That's a really bad word. That could... What does that even mean? Niggled. Damn you, Kaisenat, for getting to look up words. So I typed the word and then ME for meaning, and I got in Hindi, in English, in Bengali, in Telugu. But it's Writing a different word. That's it. Mean Basil. Cause slight but persistent annoyance, discomfort, or anxiety. Does it really have to be that? Spelled like that, though? That's an odd word. I like learning new words. Hold on, where'd it go? But okay. At him like a stare from Doll Girl that wouldn't really count unless he met her eyes. But he didn't think much about the specifics of murdering. He held on to that image of Durzo Blint, laughing at the entire guild. Durzo Blint, laughing at Rat, and his little army. Durzo Blint, fearless. Durzo Blint, who Azoth could be. Blint would take him away. Azoth wouldn't lead Black Dragon. He wouldn't even lead his lizards. But he didn't want to. He didn't want the littles looking at him like he was their father. The bigs who towered over him, looking at him like he knew what he was doing, like he would keep them all safe. He couldn't even keep himself safe. It was all a fraud. He was a fraud. He'd been set up. Didn't even see it. The unmistakable sound of the front door being moved aside heralded Rat's return. Azoth was so scared he would have wept if he told Badger to stay awake. He couldn't weep in front of his bigs. He was sure Rat would come over to him, have the bigs lift him up, and take him away to some horrific punishment that would make Jarls look easy. For true to form, Rat pushed into his harem, lay down, and was asleep in seconds. A wet boy wouldn't cry. Azoth tried to slow his breathing, tried to listen to see if Rat's bodyguards were asleep too. Wet boys weren't afraid. They were killers. Other people were afraid of them. Everyone in the Sakage was afraid of them. I lie here and try to sleep again. I might sleep here with nothing happening for another night or another week, but Rat will get me. He'll destroy everything. Azoth had seen the look in his eyes. He believed Rat would destroy him, and he didn't believe that it would be a week before he did. Either that or I'd kill him first. In his mind, Azoth saw himself as a hero, like something out of a bard's tale, giving Jarl's money back, giving Jalil enough to buy Review. Everyone in the guild loving him for killing Rat. And Doll Girl, speaking for the first time, approved, glowing in her eyes, telling how brave he was. It was stupid, and he couldn't afford the stupidity. He had to piss. Azoth got up angrily and walked out the back door. Rat's bodyguards didn't even shift in their sleep as he walked past them. The night air was cold and rank. Azoth had been spending most of the collection money to feed his lizards. Today, he'd bought fish. The ever-hungry littles had gotten into the entrails and eaten them and gotten sick. His urine arcing into the alley. He thought he should have had someone watching out for that. It was just something else he'd missed. He heard a scuffling sound from inside and turned, lacing his breeches up. Looking into the darkness, though, he saw nothing. He was losing it. Jumping at sounds when there were 70 guild rats pressed together in the house, sleeping, moaning on empty bellies, and rolling into their neighbors. Suddenly, he smiled and touched the shiv. There might be 100 things he didn't know and 1,000 more he couldn't control, but he knew what he needed to do now. Rat had to die. It was that simple. What happened to Azoth after he did it didn't even matter. Whether they thanked him or killed him, he had to kill Rat. He had to kill him before Rat got to Doll Girl, and he had to kill him now. And with that, the decision was made. Azoth held the shiv up along his wrist and stepped aside. Rat would be sleeping wedged in with his harem. It would only be 2 steps out of Azoth's way. Azoth would pretend to stumble, in case the bigs were watching, and then plunge the shiv into Rat's stomach. He would stab him over and over until Rat was dead, or he was. Azoth was within 4 steps of his attack when he came in sight of his own sleeping space. Badger was lying on his back in the darkness, a thin line drawn across his neck, black on the white skin. His eyes were open. He wasn't moving. Doll Girl's space was empty. She was gone, and so was Rat. How was it used? Kind of like the paper piece in a Hershey's Kiss. I didn't know those. How was what used, and what is kind of like the paper piece in a Hershey's Kiss? The word, is that what we're talking about? I can go back and use the sentence. basically, the word, it means like causes slight but persistent annoyance or discomfort or anxiety. So we changed it to it's like eating at the back of our head kind of thing. So in the sentence, that niggled at him like a stare from dull girl that wouldn't really count unless he met her eyes. So basically, the author chose a different word instead of it ate at him, like the stare from doll girl. I don't know if I like that word though. I mean, I understand. Similar, irritate, annoy, complain, kind of like that type dealio. Oh no. I'll look it up right now. It's called a plume. Never mind. I ain't even gonna say that on stream, man. Just, you set me up for failure, man. No, God, no. If you guys want to go see it, go look it up. Go look it up yourselves. I'm not gonna say it's a plume. That's what we're gonna go. We're gonna call it a plume. We call it a wiggly paper. We're not calling it that other word. It's awful, man. English language has come so far. That was the end of the chapter 2. We're on chapter 9. Do you remember when books had chapters things in them? I don't think this one shows how many chapters there are. No, but there's a really cool map of the world. My background blur is fucking being stupid. Oh yeah, there's a map. I don't know if it's coming in view. There you go. You see a little bit of it. It's a pretty cool map though. The world that we are in is called Midcrew or Midsiru. Midcyru. Midsiru. That's how I pronounced it. Really cool. It reminds me of Middle Earth. Oh, is the book thing working yet? Oh yeah, I think it updates after I get off stream. Which is kind of lame. I think it would update now. Oh, it's okay. All is. I think we can make it through one more chapter. I hope. I am gonna take a quick little breather though. I'm gonna run a little ad break. Beep, boop, boop. We gonna throw down the hype. That's Mama's art. She made those for me. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. That's Mama's art. They made them for me. Is that from a fucking radio demon douche? I mean that in a wholesome way. I love him. I can't for the life of me remember his name right now. I just remember Radio Demon. I'm tired. Yep, okay. Alistair. Okay. I was gonna say that, but I wasn't sure and I didn't want to make an ass of myself. Okay. Alright. We literally have like 5 pages to get through. 4 or 5 pages. Alright, not bad. Chapter 9. He lay in the darkness, too stunned to weep. Even in his sudden blind shock, Azoth knew that Rats Biggs couldn't be asleep. This is what they had been waiting for. Azoth had left for the barest minute and they had taken Dollgirl. Wouldn't even do him any good to wake the whole guild. In the darkness and confusion, he'd never know just which of Rats Biggs was gone. And what would he do even if he did know? Even if he knew who was gone, he wouldn't know where they'd gone. Even if he knew where they'd gone, what would he do? He lay in the darkness, stumbling over thoughts, staring at the sagging ceiling. He'd heard them. Damn him forever. He'd heard the sound and didn't even go look. He lay in the darkness, finished. The watch changed, the sun rose, the guild rats stirred, and he stared at the sagging ceiling, waiting for it to collapse on him like everything else. He couldn't have moved if he wanted to. He lay in the light. Children were shrieking, littles pulling at him, shouting something. Something about Badger. Questions. It was all words. Words were wine. Words were wind. Someone shook him, but he was far away. It wasn't until long after that that he woke. There was only one sound that he could have brought him out of his trance. Rat, laughing. Tingle shot across his skin and he sat upright. He still had the shiv. There's dried blood on the floor, but Azoth barely saw it. He stood and started walking towards the door. That terrible laugh rang out again and Azoth ran. The moment he stepped through the door, out of the corner of his eye, he saw the shadow of the door frame elongate and snap forward. It was just as fast as a trapdoor spider he'd once seen and just as effective. He slammed into the shadow like he'd run into a wall. His head rang as he pulled back into the deep shadows between the guild building and the ruin next to it. So eager for death, little one. Azoth couldn't shake his head. Couldn't shake loose. The shadow had a hand like iron over his face. Slowly he realized it was Master Blind. 5 days, kid. 5 days you had to kill him. He was whispering in Azoth's ear, the faintest hint of garlic and onions laced through his breath. In front of them, Rat was talking with the guild, laughing and making them laugh with him. Some of Azoth's lizards were there, laughing too, hoping to escape Rat's notice. So it begins already. Whatever Azoth had accomplished was already coming apart. The rest of the lizards were gone. Doubtless they'd come crawling back later to see what happened. Azoth couldn't even be mad at them for it. In the Warrens, he did what she had to survive. It wasn't their failure, it was his. Blint was right. The bigs on either side of Rat were ready. Rat himself was ready. If Azoth had charged out there, he would have died. Or worse. All the time he had the plan, and he'd done nothing. He would have deserved that death. Calm now, kid? Blint asked. Good, because I'm going to show you what your hesitation cost. This part was really sad. Solon... Oh, wait, well, we're going more... We're jumping to another story. Solon was ushered into dinner by an old man with a stooped back and a smartly pressed uniform adorned with a gold braid and the gear's soaring white falcon on a field sable, which, over the centuries, had become barely recognizable as the gear falcon it was. A northern falcon, and not Caladoran or even Lodracari. Gear falcons were only found in the Freeze, so the gears are hardly more native than So the gears are hardly more native to Scenario than I am. Dinner was set in the great hall, a strange choice to Solon's mind. It wasn't that the great hall wasn't impressive. It was too much so. It must have been almost as large as Castle Cenaria's own great hall, adorned with tapestries, banners, shields of long-dead enemies, enormous canvases, statuary in marble and gold leaf, and a ceiling mural depicting a scene from the Alcestia. In the midst of such grandeur, the table was dwarfed to insignificance, though it was 15 spaces long. Lord Solon Tofusen of House Tofusen, wind-seekers of Royal House Bra'aden of the island empire of Seth, the old man announced. Solon was pleased that the man had either known or dug up the appropriate titles, even if Seth was scarcely an empire these days. Solon walked forward to greet Lady Gear. She was an attractive woman, stately, with dark green eyes and the dusky skin of the delicate bones of House Grayson. Though she had an admirable figure, she dressed modestly by Cenarian standards, the neckline high, the hemline coming down almost to her slim ankles. The grey gown fitted but not tight. "Blessings, my lady," Solon said, giving the traditional Sethi open-palmed bow. "May the sun smile upon you and all storms find you in port." It was a little much, but so was having 3 people dine in a hall large enough to have its own weather. She humphed, not even bothering to speak to him. They sat and servants brought out the first course. A mandarin duck soup with fennel. "My son warned me of what you were, but you speak quite well, nor have you seen fit to put metal through your face. And you're wearing clothes. I'm quite pleased." Evidently, the good Duchess hadn't heard about her son's luck with sparring Solon and didn't appreciate having her son humbled. "Is it true, then?" Logan asked. He was at one end of the table, his mother at the other, and Solon, unfortunately, in the middle. "Do the Sethi really go naked on their ships?" "Logan," Katrina Gear said sharply. "No, if I may, Lady Gear. It's a common misperception. Our island splits the hottest current in the Great Sea, so it's quite warm there even in the winter. In the summer, it's nearly intolerable. So though we don't wear as much clothing or as heavy clothing as people do here, we aren't without our own standards of modesty." "Modesty? You call women who run about on boats half-naked modest?" Lady Gear asked. Logan looked entrapped by the idea. "Not all of them are modest, of course, but to us, breasts are about as erotic as necks. It might be pleasant to kiss them, but there's no reason to—" "You go too far," Lady Gear said. "On the other hand, a woman who shows her ankles is obviously hoping not to go below the decks alone. Indeed, Lady Gear." He lifted an eyebrow and pretended to look at her ankles, though they were too far away and on the other side of the table legs. "Sethi woman would think you quite brazen." Katrina Gear's face went ashen. Before she could say anything, though, Logan laughed. "Ankles? Ankles? That's so dumb." He wolf whistled. "Nice ankles, mother." He laughed again. A servant arrived with the second course, but Solon didn't even see him set it down. Why do I do this? Would it be the first time his sharp tongue had cut his own throat? "See that your lack of respect isn't confined to striking Lord Gear," Duchess said. "Now he's Lord Gear. So the men weren't stupid. They weren't babying Logan. She'd probably ordered them not to hit Logan in practice." "Damn, girl, let me see them ankles." "Mother, he was never disrespectful to me, and he didn't mean to disrespect you either." Logan looked from his mother to Solon and found stony gazes on each. "Did you, Lord Tofusen?" "Milady," Solon said, "my father once told me that there are no lords on the practice field because there are no lords on the battlefield." "Nonsense," she said. "A true lord is always a lord. In Cenaria, we understand this." "Mother, he means that enemy swords cut nobles as surely as they cut peasants." Lady Gear ignored her son and said, "What is it that you want from us, Master Tofusen?" It was a rude thing to ask a guest, and not least for addressing him as a commoner. Solon had been counting on the Gear's courtesy to give him long enough to figure out that very thing. He had thought he could watch and wait, dine with the Gears at every meal, and afforded a fortnight or two before he announced any intention of his plans. He thought he might like the boy, but this woman, gods, he might be better off with the Jadwin seductress. "Mother, don't you think you're being a little—" She didn't even look at her son. She just raised her palm towards him and stared at Solon unblinking. Well, that's how it is. Logan wasn't just her son. For all that he was only a boy, Logan was Katrina Gear's lord. In the contemptuous gesture, Solon read the family's history. She raised her hand, and her son was still young enough, still inexperienced enough, that he went silent like a good son rather than punished her like a good lord. In the contempt she'd greeted him with, Solon saw why Duke Gear had named his son Lord Gear, in his own absence. The Duke couldn't trust his own wife to rule. "I'm waiting," Lady Gear said. The chill in her voice made his decision. Solon didn't like children, but he loathed tyrants. "Damn you, Dorian." "I've come to be Lord Gear's advisor," he said, smiling warmly. "Ha! Absolutely not." Mother, Logan said, a touch of steel entering his voice. "No, never," she said. "In fact, Master Tofusen, I'd like you to leave." "Mother! Immediately," she said. Solon didn't move, merely held his knife and two-pronged fork. He was glad he remembered how the Cenarians used the things, over his plate and willing himself not to move. "When are you going to let Lord Gear act like the Lord Gear?" he asked her. "When he's ready, when he's older, and I will not be questioned by some Sethi savage who— Is that what the Duke commanded you when he named his son Lord in his absence? Let Logan be Lord once he's ready? My father once told me that delayed obedience is really disobedience." "Guards," she called. "Damn it, Mother, stop it." Logan stood so abruptly his chair clattered to the ground behind him. The guards were halfway to Solon's chair. They suddenly looked conspicuous. They looked at each other and slowed, vainly tried to approach quietly, their chainmail jingling with every step. "Logan, we'll speak about this later," Katrina Gear said. "Talon, Braun, escort this man out now." "I am the Gear, don't touch him," Logan shouted. The guard stopped. Katrina's eyes flashed fury. "How dare you question my authority? You second-guessed your mother in front of a stranger?" "You're an embarrassment, Logan Gear. You shame your family. Your father made a terrible mistake in trusting you." Solon felt sick, and Logan looked worse. He was shaken, suddenly wavering, about to fold. The snake. She destroys what she should protect. She shatters her own son's confidence. Logan looked at Talon and Braun. The men looked wretched to be so visibly witnessing Logan's humiliation. Logan shrank, seemed to deflate. "I have to do something." "My Lord Gear," Solon said, standing and drawing all eyes. "I'm terribly sorry. I don't wish to impose on your hospitality. The last thing I would wish is an occasion for strife in your family, and indeed, I forgot myself and spoke too frankly to your mother. I am not always attuned to tempering the truth for Cenarian sensibility. Lady Gear, I apologize for any offense you or your lord may have taken. Lord Gear, I apologize if you felt I treated you lightly, and will of course take my leave if you will grant it." A little twist on the "if you will grant it." Logan stood straighter. "I will not." "My lord," Solon painted puzzlement on his face. "I found too much tempering and not enough truth in this house," Lord Tofusen, Logan said. "You've done nothing to offend me. I'd like you to stay. And I'm sure my mother will do all she can to make you feel welcome." "Logan Gear, you will not," Katrina said. "Men," shouted Logan to the guards, loudly, to cut her off. "Lady Gear is tired and overwrought. Escort her to her chambers. I'd appreciate it if one of you would watch the doors this night in case she requires anything. We will all dine in the usual room in the morning." Solon loved it. Logan had just confined his mother to her chambers and put a guard on the door to keep her there until morning, all without giving her an avenue for complaint. This boy will be formidable. Will be. He already is, and I've just chained myself to him. It wasn't a comfortable thought. He hadn't even decided to stay. Actually, half an hour ago, he decided not to decide for a few weeks. Now he was Logan's. "You know this would happen, Dorian?" Dorian didn't believe in consequences, but Solon had never had his friend's faith. Now, faith or no faith, he was committed. It made his neck feel tight, like wearing a slave collar 2 sizes too small. The rest of the excellence meal passed in silence. Solon begged his lord's leave and went and looked for the nearest inn that served Sethi wine. And we'll leave off on chapter 10 for tonight, because it's late. I'm a little hungry. I think we did okay for right now. I'll probably be streaming again tomorrow sometime. Hi, Ellie. Yeah. I most definitely will probably be streaming again tomorrow, another charity stream to try to raise money for Baby Soon, but after I get back from the vet probably, so probably another evening or late night stream or anything, something like that. All good there. Hell yes. Thank you all for stopping by. Thank you all for the support, the subs, the primes, the super chats. like the bits, it helps more than you know. And I hope you guys are enjoying the book, and we shall continue at chapter 10 and everything tomorrow evening. I might be here around the same time, about 8:15. Yeah, I appreciate everything, and I hope it all works out too. I will keep everyone posted on the socials: Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram, join the Discord, etc. Yes. Peace out, y'all. Love y'all. Catch you tomorrow.